show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, it's Monday again. The government shut down at the moment, but my understanding, the Dems have caved.
Excellent, Crudy. The government will hopefully open soon, and then my life can resume.
Well, I'm not sure that your life was ever much affected. Nothing ever affects Dom's life.
Come on.
Maybe Obamacare and the individual marketplace. I know you felt quite affected by that, Dom.
Yeah.
But you know who got stuck, shafted for some promises of what? Magic beans from the Republicans? Why would we trust the Republican promises at this late hour? I mean, Chuck Schumer, you gave this forevermore will be the Schumer shutdown.
What are you talking about?
It could have been the Trump shutdown.
Wait, how could it have been?
As a political...
Why? How are you making?
Because the American people...
the distinction?
The American people were already blaming Donald Trump. This
are you speaking
Trump
for
shutdown.
the American people?
Yes, absolutely.
You do not speak for me, Michael.
Well, I looked at the polling, and I speak for a plurality of the American people who blamed this shutdown on A, Trump, B, congressional Republicans, and then maybe both parties. But as a political issue, this was a winner. And I tell you what, if I was a dreamer, if I was a DACA person, if I was a hardworking kid through no fault of my own, brought here as an immigrant, as a child, and I got abandoned by the Democratic Party today because they promised the dreamers they were going to keep allowing this can to get kicked down the road over and over and over again. At some point, you got to stand with the people. And I'm not blaming them for the circumstance that, of course, is caused by Trump as well. Trump's the one that rolled back Obama's executive action. But now it's on Congress to solve this problem. And I don't trust Paul Ryan, and I don't trust Mitch McConnell, and I sure as hell don't trust Donald Trump to be fair brokers in this circumstance. So the promise of future magic beans, kiss my butt, it's the Schumer shutdown.
The deal, according to the Washington Post, was struck between Chuck Schumer, who was assured that the Senate would vote on some kind of immigration deal by February 8th.
Assurances. Well, well. Of course, they've only kicked the can down the road, 2 weeks? So, there'll be another shutdown, or they'll deal with this, apparently.
Well, okay, all right, now let's stop right there for just a minute. If this is not dealt with and they do not follow through on their obligations, if this is just a 2-week fix and we will be here right again in 2 weeks.
Then why not hold to the leverage you have right now? We've already crossed the precipice. The government was already shut down. People, at least according to polling, were already blaming the Republicans. Why would you give now? Why wouldn't you just hold your ground until the problem's solved? Come to the table, Republicans. I mean, as much as anything, this isn't even Mitch McConnell's fault. This is Donald Trump's fault. He keeps moving the goalposts.
It's the Republicans' fault. Let's
sure,
put it that
broadly,
way.
it's all their fault.
It's all of their faults. They are the ones in charge.
Dominic, I want to point out, we got great guests today. We've got it jammed up for you. Christine Newman-Ortiz, Executive Director, Voces de la Frontera. They've got an emergency press conference today at 3:30. But we're going to tell you what they're going to talk about because Christine's going to join us live via phone at 2:30. I think they're feeling a little abandoned by the Democratic Party today, Dom. Also, our good friend John Nichols, The Nation, The Cap Times. John Nichols calling for special elections in the state of Wisconsin. He's not the only one. He shares, especially your
Let's have a special
passion
election
on this issue.
Come on. This is not supposed to happen in this country.
And Mary Arnold, she is chair of the Columbia County Dems. I bet they might better be served by somebody
What?
in the seat being vacated by Keith Ripp.
You want representation in the state of Wisconsin?
We're going to find out what people on the ground are saying to the chair of the Columbia County Dems, she's Mary Arnold. She'll join us about 3:20. And then, Dom, we're going to talk about this newest proposition, this found his heart.
Healthcare for everybody.
Well, Scott Walker hasn't exactly proposed that. We'll get some clarifications from Robert Craig. Robert, also a friend, executive director, Citizen Action of Wisconsin. Going to talk to Robert in the 3 o'clock hour. And the topic's going to be this newest $200 million prop-up Obamacare proposal that Scott Walker's throwing out there. And one might think, oh, Scott Walker's finally kind of, accept the Medicaid money?
Take the Medicaid money?
That's not what he's proposing, right?
Well, why not?
He is still targeting Medicaid recipients, wants you to work. Hell, most of them do work now, or they're elderly, or they're disabled. But we'll talk about that with Robert Craig. I mean, this ass munch, Governor Walker, man, this guy.
Crudy, come on, man. How do you really feel about Governor Walker? Just don't hold back. Just, it's just you and me.
That is me holding back. And then we're going to be joined down here on Brady Street by a couple Teamsters buddies. Tom Alonzi, the two Toms, and Tom Bennett. They are Secretary, Treasurer, and President of Teamsters Local 200. They'll join us in the happy hour about 4:30, I think they're expected.
Hopefully bring some beer. I have a feeling I'm going to be parched by then with so much action on this show.
If Teamsters didn't get the memo that it's always in good course to bring beer down to Brady Street, well, you better listen, you two Toms. Don't make us shake a fist at you on the radio. Tony Evers bring us beer Friday?
No, we let him know, though.
That will be held against you, gentlemen and ladies. So, Dom, the Democrats caved. Totally bogus, man. I was finally thinking, thank God, we are finally standing up. I mean, did they not notice these marches all over town, all over the country, all over the world over the course of the weekend? Those pink hats on so many of those women's heads. Well, Chuck Schumer resembles one of those pink hats today.
Let's take a deep breath, Crudy. I know you love the protest, but certainly I would say that we need to govern, and sometimes you got to cut deals to govern. And if in 2 weeks we find ourselves as a country
we'll be right back at the precipice
the same
again
spot, then what did we really lose? What did we really lose in 2 weeks? And if in 2 weeks a solution is
our
found,
courage, our spine,
if a solution
the perceptual
is
war
found in 2 weeks, then Crudy, are you going to take it all back?
And what's going to change in 2 weeks?
I'm just asking.
Promises from Mitch McConnell? No.
Fair enough.
Why
Absolutely.
would I accept promises from Republicans?
You can absolutely back that up with looking at what he promised. Even other Republicans would get done. Of course, you have to look at that. But I again ask you, what's the 2 weeks? What do you got to lose, man?
Leverage.
What leverage?
You just gave back your leverage. The shutdown of the U.S. government being blamed on the Republican Congress and the president. Everybody knew it was their fault. And Republicans, their big pivot, Dom? Their big pivot was to call Dreamers illegal aliens to further alienate the Latino voting bloc. And I would point out, they're not all aliens. They're not all illegal Republicans. Hell, there's multi-generational Latino families. And I mind you, it's always the brown-skinned people they take such great objection to. Christy Newman-Ortiz, look forward to having her join us. But there was a presidential campaign phone call going out over the course of the weekend. We've got this, don't we, Brian? And I would point out, above and beyond that, the White House changed their voicemail over the course of the weekend. It was the Democrats' fault. They literally changed the White House voicemail, blaming it on the Democrats. Perhaps we've got time for both of these. Let's start. We've got the Donald Trump ad. No Donald Trump ad. They were saying over the course of the week.
This is not Donald Trump. This is the Trump campaign. See, that's a separate organization from the White House. If you just ask
who draws that distinction?
Trump.
Huckabee Sanders.
It wasn't Huckabee Sanders. It was one of the other officials who was on the Sunday show.
That's
from
a
the White House.
Ridiculous distinction to draw. The presidential campaign, the Trump campaign is Trump. And I would put it to you this way. Those ads, and we've got this ad, apparently, Brian, very efficient in there. This ad basically villainizes DACA dreamers and anyone that might come from a foreign country, immigrants. I mean, this is a wholesale villainization of people of color and immigrants. Play it for the people.
The only thing that was dead is the steal too.
That's illegal immigrant Luis Bracamontes, charged with murdering 2 police officers.
We killed more of those motherfuckers.
It's pure evil. President Trump is right. Build the wall. Deport criminals. Stop illegal immigration now. Democrats who stand in our way will be complicit in every murder committed by illegal immigrants. President Trump will fix our border and keep our families safe.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.
President Donald Trump's president.
Turn that off. So we just back down to what? A terrorist act? We are complicit in every murder committed during the shutdown. And Donald Trump, his presidential campaign is going to lay that at the feet of the Democrats.
I think
and we're going to bow down, kowtow to this sort of terrorist act.
More to it than that. You're looking at this from a political standpoint. This is a guy who is saying through this ad, anybody who doesn't believe what the Republicans or Donald Trump thinks should be done about immigration in this country, then you are part of the problem. You are complicit to murder. This is beyond just one political party. This is what he's saying to the entire country. If you don't think like he does, you're complicit to murder. And I think that is a terrible precedent to set.
I'm so glad that Chuck Schumer accepted the promises of this Republican Party, because I'm sure this will all get resolved between here and February 8th. We've also got the Trump the voicemail, the White House voicemail, the Trump White House. Here is who they are now blaming, at least over the course of the weekend. This vote has not yet taken place. The government has been shut down for 2 days, 15 hours, 17 minutes, and 40 seconds, according to CNN's Chiron. But here is the White House voicemail over the course of the weekend. See if you note a partisan tone.
Thank you for calling the White House comment line. Thank you for calling the White House. Unfortunately, we cannot answer your call today because congressional Democrats are holding government funding, including funding for our troops and other national security priorities, hostage to an unrelated immigration debate. Due to this obstruction, the government is shut down. In the meantime, you can leave a comment for the president at www.whitehouse.gov/contact. We look forward to taking your calls as soon as the government reopens.
I thought we had a comment we were going to play.
Wasn't there a comment from the president? Let's go ahead. Let's back it up.
Let's play it real quick.
Let's play the comment. Remember, what if we went back in time and Citizen Trump were to leave a message for the president during a shutdown?
This is Trump from 2013.
Thank you for calling the White House comment line.
Well, if you say who gets fired, it always has to be the top. I mean, problems start from the top, and they have to get solved from the top, and the president's the leader. And he's got to get everybody in a room, and he's got to lead. And he doesn't do that. He doesn't like doing that. That's not his strength.
Well, I guess he's evolved on that issue.
Who's getting fired? Chuck Schumer should. You bowed down to a terrorist, and his name is Trump. Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. I know because I'm wearing the T-shirt. You must be some foreign beer because I see that's what you got on your chest. We've got a great lineup today. I hope you stick around for all of our fine guests, including Christine Newman Ortiz, Executive Director, Voces de la Frontera, John Nichols from The Nation, Mary Arnold, Chair of the Columbia County Dems, Robert Craig, Executive Director, Citizen Action of Wisconsin, and the two Toms, Melanzi and Bennett, from the Teamsters Local 200. That'll be in the happy hour. We got lots of show between now and then. Stick around. Phone line's always open here for you. 844-967-2789. This is Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, WRRD.
I'm not blaming anybody. I don't like to go back and blame. I like to look to the future. I'm not blaming anybody.
Thank you for calling the White House comment line.
The interesting thing is in 25 years and 50 years and 100 years from now, when the government is, when they talk about the government shutdown, they're going to be talking about the President of the United States. Who was the president at that time?
Wisconsin Republican Attorney General Brad Schimmel claims he will further investigate the investigators of the John Doe 2 investigation because it was all a partisan witch hunt. Wisconsin State Rep Chris Taylor said this.
There is absolutely no concern expressed by this Attorney General or these Republican legislators about the underlying criminal conduct that this corruption investigation revealed. Scott Walker was breaking laws.
And Brad Schimmel fails to acknowledge the 6 criminal convictions, 4 felonies in the Scott Walker John Doe 1. Was that also a partisan witch hunt?
One newspaper has done a good job. It's a national paper, the Wall Street Journal.
And A.G. Schimmel filed an embarrassing hack partisan bull report where he's still looking for the leaker. Get a clue! Wasn't it Eric O'Keefe from Wisconsin Club for Growth?
Well, I was born to do this.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org. P, the number 4, ppc.org.
If you're like a lot of companies, you know you need IT, but you aren't sure where to start. That's where Five Nines comes in. Hi, I'm Todd Stryker, President and CEO. For almost 15 years, Five Nines has been providing IT solutions to companies just like yours. We'll show you the solutions that are right for your business and give you the roadmap to success in the future. Find us at fivenines.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
Driving means
freedom,
exploration,
fun,
pride,
flexibility,
protection, friendship,
escape,
independence.
Distracted driving means
danger,
recklessness,
irresponsible,
chaos, police,
devastation,
injury,
death.
Safe driving means staying alert and staying alive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Have you outgrown your house? Are you sick of apartment living? Not ready to buy but know you need to move? Hi folks, this is Tom Hartman for CCL Management in Middleton. You should consider moving up to one of the finer rental homes CCL Management represents. Unique houses and condos, always clean, most are pet friendly. Visit cclmanagement.com today to find your new home. CCL Management, Dane County's premier leasing and property management company.
Call CCL Management at 833-0009. That's 833-0009 or visit cclmanagement.com today.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
The Earl Ingram Show.
I am really honored to have in studio a young man, Mr. Marquise Garner. He's written a wonderful book, Have You Ever Wished You Were Someone Else? Carrying the Weight of Autism. Chapter 4, man, A Face in the Crowd.
Being in public school, a lot of times you have like 35, 40 kids in the class, and I felt like another face in the crowd. Like I wasn't getting the individual attention that I needed when I was falling behind in my curriculum. I felt like I was on a political spectrum. Like not only was I diagnosed as being autistic, but being the first black, I was like, man, not only am I autistic, but I gotta like be a revolutionary for my people, being the first black in the special ed class.
The Earl Ingram Show, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m., Saturdays noon to 3 on WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Come on, man!
60% of the time, they're right every time. Dom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, 1510 AM WRRD. Streaming live on YouTube, Facebook. We're on Twitter at Devil Radio, and always on the phones, 844-967-2789.
Dominic Voces de la Frontera is calling for an emergency press conference, 3:30 this afternoon. We're going to give our audience an insight an hour earlier. Christine Newman-Ortiz joins us at 2:30. And I got to tell you, when they make the call, that organization rallies people to the streets like no other. We have seen, and I mean, Dom, we've only been doing this as a radio station for just under a year. But we have seen some massive marches And I got to tell you, the Women's March this weekend, I'm going to pat my team on the back just a little bit. Jocasta Zamarripa did an outstanding job from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Earl pitched in. Dominic pitched in. Keith did a great job this weekend. Jocasta, of course, her anchoring was outstanding. Hell, my kid pitched in. He was the production assistant in here. I mean, once I broke that antenna,
it all came together.
And we had to run people back over here to Brady Street, just like 10 minutes from the Wisconsin Center. I mean, we still put together one hell of a show after we marched from the courthouse to the Wisconsin Center, and of course gave live coverage from the streets, on the streets. And I got to say thank you to all that listened. And I got to tell you, I didn't see anybody else out there doing live radio that day, not from the march.
Nope.
And that's exactly what I had in mind when we bought this radio station, man. And we've now been doing this like 8 business days left in the month of January, including today. And then we turn the calendar to February 1st. First of all, it's an AM daytimer. That's a good thing. We get like 45 minutes back on the tail end of our broadcast day.
Yeah.
And we get 45 minutes on the beginning of our broadcast day. So we get like 90 extra minutes starting on the 1st. And B, Dominic, you know, when there's any reason, you know, like an anniversary, a first anniversary, a birthday, something of that sort, what do we do?
We got to have a party. That's what we do.
Dominic, the first anniversary party, it's going to be at the Roman Coin. It's going to be Thursday, February 1st. It's going to start at the happy hour. The happy hour, it's going to shift to 5. We're going to give you bonus Devil's Advocates coverage beginning that night, live from the Roman Coin here on Brady Street. That's the corner of Brady and Astor. And most importantly, Dom, what are we doing for all our friends that night? Well, supplies last.
What would we? Of course, we have to. In honor of our listeners and your support, free beer.
Did I hear free beer?
Free beer!
Are we in Wisconsin?
Yes, we are.
You better get there somewhere close to 5 o'clock, because I'm telling you, if there's one thing that gets asses in the seats in the great state of Wisconsin, it's a Resistance Radio anniversary party.
And free beer!
And free beer and the good stuff, too. We're going, I believe, Lakefront Brewery.
Yeah, we'll tap a half a barrel of Lakefront.
We could have PBR'd you ASAP. But, you know, we stepped up. We did a local beer. Not that all the beers aren't somewhat local here to Milwaukee. Come back. Stick around. More Devil's Advocates. Christine Newman-Ortiz, Executive Director, Voces de la Frontera. We're going to talk about the Dems caving.
Thank you for calling the White House comment line.
If we have to close down our government, we're building that wall.
Don't even
think about it.
Bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff, even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
You are listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, WRRD, 1510 AM, Milwaukee, Waukesha. There is not a gun to my head right now.
Make a resolution, Milwaukee, to eat your fruits and vegetables. Go to the new Pete's Fruit Market on Martin Luther King and North Ave. Find the freshest fruit, always the perfect peach. Pete's Fruit Market is a brand new, modern, full-service grocery with an in-store butcher shop. Go see the manager, Vidal, for daily specials at the new Pete's Fruit Market on North Ave in MLK. Tell them that the Devil's Advocates sent you.
When you need an attorney, trust the voice of experience. The only choice, Lawton and Cates.
I needed an attorney because I was injured at work. I wanted to find a reputable attorney. The results that I got with Lawton and Cates were very good. I'm very happy with the way I was treated and the end result that I got.
Trust the voice of experience. Call the attorneys at Lawton and Cates. 282-6200. 282-6200.
The Earl Ingram Show.
I am really honored to have in studio a young man, Mr. Marquise Garner. He's written a wonderful book, Have You Ever Wished You Were Someone Else? Carrying the Weight of Autism. Chapter 4, man, A Face in the Crowd.
Being in public school, a lot of times you have like 35, 40 kids in the class, and I felt like another face in the crowd. Like I wasn't getting the individual attention that I needed when I was falling behind in my curriculum. I felt like I was on a political spectrum. Like not only was I diagnosed as being autistic, but being the first black, I was like, man, not only am I autistic, but I gotta like be a revolutionary for my people, being the first black in the special ed class.
The Earl Ingram Show, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m., Saturdays, noon to 3 on WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Come on, man.
Good afternoon. It is 2:32 for 1510 a.m. WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. My name is Brian Kelly. Governor Walker's new welfare reforms include making food stamp recipients work 30 hours per week and have a photo ID, and drug testing people who live in public housing. The governor called for a special legislative session to overhaul Wisconsin's public assistance programs. Walker is pushing for a series of bills, including one that would require able-bodied parents of children on food stamps to work or get training to receive more than 3 months of prison benefits. Tonight, snow likely about an inch of accumulation. We're talking about lows in the upper 20s. Tuesday, snowy and windy, less than an inch of additional accumulation, highs in the low 30s. And Wednesday, partly sunny, highs in the upper 20s. We're currently at 39 degrees in Milwaukee and 38 in Waukesha for 1510 a.m. My name is Brian Kelly.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. We're anticipating Christine Newman-Ortiz, Executive Director, Voces de la Frontera. Christine, our number, 844-967-2789. Busy lady right now. They have called an emergency press conference, meaning Voces de la Frontera. They're going to assemble outside Senator Tammy Baldwin's Milwaukee office. That address, 633 West Wisconsin Avenue. That, of course, downtown Milwaukee, 53203. Dom, I'm going to read from this press release. On Monday, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer agreed to a 3-week continuing resolution spending bill that does not provide protections for Dreamers, disaster relief funding, funding for community health clinics, or adequate funding for children's health insurance program. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and Schumer agreed that if the DREAM Act is not passed by the week of February 5th, they would have a vote on a standalone DREAM Act bill. Voces de la Frontera and Youth Empowered in the Struggle will hold an emergency press conference Monday at 3:30 p.m. at Senator Tammy Baldwin's office in support of the DREAM Act. Dom, why don't you help me with the quotes?
Here is what Christine Newman-Ortiz, Executive Director of Voces de la Frontera, is quoted as saying, "Yet again, we see the failure of Democratic Party leadership to forcibly stand up and defend immigrant youth and families. We are deeply disappointed in the decision of Senator Tammy Baldwin to follow Democratic leadership in caving to Donald Trump's white nationalist agenda. This is a mistake. The majority of people were rightfully holding the Trump, Paul Ryan, and the Republican leadership accountable for their mean-spirited shutdown. 16,000 immigrant young people have already lost DACA protections, making them a target for deportation. We will continue to engage people of all backgrounds to demand a Clean Dream Act be included in the federal spending bill by February 8th, and that these other essential programs be fully funded. The broad support for immigrants and the DREAM Act is based on immigrant leadership and the linking of the struggles of our diverse communities. Our organizing brought us this far, and that is what will deliver the DREAM Act." So I guess, Mike, here's to continue on as we wait for Christine Newman-Ortiz, Executive Director of Voces de la Frontera, to join us on the phones. My question to you is, Crudy, what is the downside? It's a 3-week continuing resolution. They assure that they will be brought up. If McConnell
how many times you got to walk the plank?
If McConnell does not follow through on his promises and his words, and you rightfully, should be questioning of this man's motives and whether or not he can follow through. But if he does not, won't they have the same leverage then as they do now? It's talking about the Democratic leadership.
God only knows what the circumstance in this country might be 3 weeks from now. God only knows. I mean, it's changing very rapidly. But if you've got all the leverage now and you've already seen Republicans walk this plank, demonstrate that they have no ability to govern, why is it that we would help them out? We, the Democrats, why would Chuck Schumer bail anybody's ass out of the fire, much less Trump, McConnell, and Paul Ryan? I mean, we don't control the levers of power. The only way they got this through is with the assistance of Democrats.
And with the promise to agree to get to the issue.
Promises.
And then you'll end up back
this
where
is
you're
the
at.
same
That's
party.
the point.
No, hear me out one more second, then we'll welcome Christine Newman-Ortiz. This is the very same party that stuck it to the Democrats and stole a Supreme Court seat away from Obama. Why would I trust them with anything?
Christine Newman-Ortiz, she is the Executive Director of Voces de la Frontera. She joins us now on the phones. Christine, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Christine, I'm a little fired up. How are you feeling today? This is obviously much more of an insult to the Dreamers, to DACA, and organizations like yours than to some white liberal like me. How are you feeling?
Well, I think, the people who are the most directly affected by this failure of leadership is obviously the immigrant youth themselves, because there are so far 16,000 immigrant youth who've been stripped of the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, which was a protected status they had that allowed them to work legally, to go to school, to drive, and to be protected from deportation. And so for all those young people who have built their lives under this status, 800,000 of them, 8,000 here in Wisconsin, I mean, it's a real threat, and it's obviously traumatic in that your future is being completely is up in the air, and the life you've built is up in the air. The dreams you hope to have, aspire to, are up in the air, and that the threat of deportation, which we have seen nationally increase under the Trump administration, is real. So those threats are real, and I think why obviously it affects all of us is because I think the what's driving this agenda. I mean, Trump's saying, "Oh, we have to." He's characterized all immigrants as dangerous, as threats, and I think what the 87% of the American public that supports Dreamers, part of that support has been that not only did they, in terms of winning DACA, take the risks of coming out as undocumented and unafraid, but they've also been able to apply and work and been simply more visible, and people value and respect, just how much they're giving, not just to themselves, but to their communities and everything we want and desire of our own children, everything we want and desire of the next generation behind us. And why would you destroy people's dreams and threaten children? And I just think it is a dangerous time that we live in under this administration that is aggressively going after so many different groups, so many civil rights, environmental rights. All of these issues are being aggressively attacked, and we have to stand up for each other. And the fight's not over yet, I will say that, and we have to win this fight. It just shows that fight will not be led by the Democratic Party, and so we have to take up the challenge in terms of pushing back against the Republican Party concession to this kind of white nationalist far-right agenda, and the Democratic Party leadership that's willing to cave in.
Christine, there's not currently a hard deadline. Dom would probably ask you, why not 3 weeks from now or 3 weeks after that, Christine? Why would this be, the line in the sand? Why this standoff? And it's been characterized. I mean, Trump's running ads villainizing immigrants and Dems that might support them. Why would the Dems make this their last stand when there's not a firm, hard deadline pressing them?
Well, the pressure has been that the greatest leverage that the Democratic Party has to win back these protections that are the right thing to do and that are so broadly supported and benefit all of us. I mean, we all benefit from young people being able to pursue higher education, get better paying jobs, support their families, many of which are living in poverty. So there's so many moral and economic benefits to the DREAM Act, and it's wildly popular. It's broadly supported. So, and what's driving it is just this hatred. So I think one is one is demanding that the Democratic Party not give up when they have the greatest leverage. The fact is that on a national budget bill is when the Democratic votes have the greatest leverage. What Chuck Schumer did as Senate Minority Leader is when he said, okay, well, we're going to kick this can down the road and in 3 weeks we'll deal with this budget. And by the way, it's not just Dreamers, but the other thing that's not included in this temporary bill that they voted to pass, it also did not fully fund the CHIP program, the Children's Health Insurance Program. The low-income health clinics have not been funded. The disaster relief has not been funded. So Trump has been trying to, and Republican leadership like Ryan have been trying to kind of put immigrant youth against these other needy, other folks who are in need. And it's a false paradigm. It's a false choice. And so the greatest leverage is in the Democrats holding their vote. When Chuck Schumer said, we're going to vote on this continuing resolution, and by the way, if by February 8th we haven't negotiated these things in, then we will agree to a standalone DREAM Act bill in Congress. But the fact is that Republicans control the majority, and certainly under this administration, that if they can't get this in the budget when they have the greatest leverage, I mean, we'd be fools to buy what they're trying to sell, which is somehow we should take some hope that we would get this passed through the Congress.
Christine, sorry to interrupt. I know we're going to run short on time here.
No,
I saw it characterized over the weekend as illegal aliens versus U.S. citizens. I mean, that's what Mitch McConnell was saying on the Senate floor as this country was in a shutdown. Did the Democrats, were they just afraid of the optics, perhaps of playing more quote-unquote identity politics?
That's it's hard to say. It's disappointing. We are disappointed in Senator Baldwin as well, who in the initial, right before the December vote, when there was another continuing resolution bill, she withheld her vote on that, which was a good thing. All our Democratic representatives here in Wisconsin withheld their vote unless the DREAM Act was included. That was a good thing. We did need people stepping up and then getting called out, and that was true nationwide. But I think, I think they just don't have backbone in terms of the Democratic Party leadership, and then people tailing it because they're afraid to lose an election. And unfortunately, why did Democrats lose an election? I think in November of 2016, and why did we end up with the Trump administration and these what we're seeing now? For the failure of strong leadership and backbone from a Democratic Party leadership. And I just, I feel I am disappointed. I actually thought that we were going to have a favorable decision because there seemed to be so much resolve when I was just recently in D.C. with our delegation there, and that was just this week, last week here. And I think, they came so fast. It's shocking. But not surprising, though, I will say. I guess I was more hopeful. But one thing that I said when I had an opportunity to speak at this Move On rally, and they had one after another great Democratic Party progressive champions speak. And they're good folks, you know. But what I did say is that, you know, that it's such an honor to stand here as part of this whole united front together against you know, everything we're seeing, but that if we have 87% of the American people supporting Dreamers, it is not because the Democratic Party led the charge. The people over many years have led the charge, and that's what's going to get us to the finish line. So there's still time, but unfortunately, it's quite clear we have to depend on ourselves, and that political establishment there is still hasn't changed enough.
You're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, 1510 AM WRRD. Christine Newman-Ortiz, Executive Director of Voces de la Frontera, joins us on the phone. They will be having a press conference today, 3:30 p.m., outside of Senator Tammy Baldwin's Milwaukee office, 633 West Wisconsin. But Christine has gracefully joined us on the phone here beforehand. Christine, I certainly understand your position, and from where you're at, I get it. Why ever negotiate? Why give up 3 more weeks? But I got to ask you, if 87% of the people support, you know, some sort of resolution to the DACA issue, is there really a risk for having this standalone bill? Presumably that would be the will of the people, and perhaps that will pass. That also being said, if we had a shutdown for 3 weeks, the Dreamers and the DACA recipients would be just as in much danger over the course of the next 3 weeks as they would be right now of deportation. So perhaps going along this line, giving it another chance, is just a negotiating tactic. What's the downside, do you think, of accepting this and trying to get this done, and at the end of 3 weeks, the continuing resolution runs out, the power and the leverage, doesn't that still become in the Democrats' hands?
Because by Schumer saying that, you know, we're going to give this more time, and if we haven't built it into the spending bill, then it'll be a standalone bill. That means that, you know, the greatest leverage to actually get it passed is lost. So if you couldn't get it passed in the budget, you are not getting it passed in Congress. You are in a much weaker position to get it passed.
Even with an 87% approval of the United States citizenry to do something on this?
I think what happened in this debate is that, I hate to say it, but it's like a yellow streak down Schumer's back.
Is the tail wagging the dog, Christine? We're talking about the Freedom Caucus, especially in the House. Are they the ones, the hardline anti-immigrant group? Are they really betraying the will of the greater American people? Are they the ones that are blocking this? We hear it might be Stephen Miller at the White House, or even John Kelly. Christine, do you think it's Republicans against the will of the American people?
Absolutely. And you have people like Sessions, you have Trump himself. I mean, look at what he says. I mean, you know, it's very clear what his beliefs are. They're really rooted in this far right idea, and they're, you know, and that Freedom Caucus, which represents the most kind of extreme wing that believes in this idea of like taking us back to the 1950s, before there were civil rights in this country that were secured. That's the America that they're trying to take us back to, and
the good old days.
I mean, and the good old days, and I think that's what people obviously have been resisting. We just saw the Women's March again in strong force. I feel that if they gave up too soon, basically, the Democrats, there was polling done that 80% of people blamed Republicans on the shutdown. So all that Democrats had to do was hold out a little longer, allow the people to even have visible pressure, make their opinions heard, and I think it would have been obviously to their favor.
Christine, got to cut you short. Christine Newman-Ortiz, Executive Director, Voces de la Frontera. We'll be right back.
Thank you for calling the White House comment line.
What Dick has said, we're going to come out with DACA. We're going to do DACA, and then we can start immediately on the phase 2, which would be comprehensive. Would you be agreeable to that? Yeah, I would like to do that.
We are the People for People, People Corporation. We are a registered 501c3, totally legit. What do? We take your uncapped, dark money, tax-deductible donations, private or corporate, always anonymous, and we turn it into free speech. You know, educate Wisconsin through advertising, which may or may not be in coordination with the candidate. Isn't that illegal? It should be, but it's not under Wisconsin law, thanks Governor Scott Walker. Politicians in Wisconsin are beholden to the millionaire and billionaire sugar daddy and sugar mamas that finance their campaigns. Time to make them beholden to we the people for People Corporation. Give your tax-deductible donation to the real patriots, the People for People Corporation, P for ppc.org, P, the number 4, ppc.org.
My name is Adam Holmes, and I'm proud to be union.
Adam, you're Director of Training for Painters District Council 7. What do?
I'm making sure that we're investing in our members. We're providing the safest and best trained painters, glazers, drywall finishers, and trade show workers in the industry, and we also do that at no cost to the taxpayers.
Why hire unions?
Because it costs less to be safe. We keep the contractor on the right side of OSHA and help keep the workmen's comp rates affordable. Join us, Painters and Allied Trades, District Council 7.
Tweens have mastered the art of tuning out. Jen, there's a spider in the car. We're turning your room into a home gym. See? Nothing. But some messages need to get through. Like making sure they're buckled up the whole ride, every time. Do whatever it takes to make your child listen. Jen, I friended your boyfriend.
Wait, what?
Buckle up, sweetie.
Never give up until they buckle up. Learn more at safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Brad Saug, owner of Zero Res Madison Carpet Cleaning. Zero Res is the best new technology in carpet cleaning. We have a patented process using empowered water, a high-tech process in which we force the water to act like soap. It doesn't want to stay in that state. It's jacked up and it's angry and it wants to hit the dirt and then it neutralizes. When we're done, all that's left in your carpet is just light moisture. In the end, you get the cleanest, greenest, healthiest carpet cleaning available. Call us at 848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it backward or forward. It's the right way to clean.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property, or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009, or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
In the wake of a disaster, what one thing can you send that will help people the most? A blanket, a tent, a sandbag, a doctor. Actually, if you send a monetary donation, you send all these things. Even a small donation can make a big impact and can quickly become exactly what people affected by disaster need most.
In the wake of a hurricane, your monetary donation can make a huge difference to those in need. To donate, visit supporthurricanerelief.org. That's supporthurricanerelief.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Dominic, I can't believe it's been a year. A year that this radio station, WRD, has been on the air.
Crudy, it's time for a party. Join WRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, and all of our listeners on Thursday, February 1st.
Dominic, I can't believe it's been a year. A year that this radio station, WRD, has been on the air.
Crudy, it's time for a party. Join WRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, and all of our listeners on Thursday, February 1st at Regano's Roman Coin, 1004 East Brady Street. That's on the corner of Astor and Brady.
The party begins at 5 o'clock. Free beer for all our friends, at least while it lasts, so come join us. Thursday, February 1st, the party begins at 5.
Bring it? Oh, it's already been brought in. Dom and Krutz are the devil's advocates.
We are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, 1510 AM WRRD. You can give us a call anytime, 844-967-2789.
Dominic, we've got John Nichols from The Nation and the Cap Times joining us at the top of the three. But right now we got at least one caller holding. It's John from Greendale. John, welcome to the show. What do you got for us?
Hey, guys. First of all, congratulations on your 1 year and your purchase of this station and the great job you're doing.
Thanks, man.
Oh, thanks, John. Doing our best. Kicking ass every day, John. We'd like to think.
Yeah, you are. That a guy. Hey, I was listening to Miss Ortiz, and I'm a little dismayed by the attitude, that she's biting the hand or biting the ankles of the people that are really sticking their neck out to help right now, and the only people that are sticking their neck out for them.
Well, then we got turtles on both sides of the aisle, John, because I don't see Chuck Schumer sticking his neck out. He looks a little Mitch McConnell-ish right now.
Well, I don't think so. I think he got something out of this. Whether it pans out or not, we'll see. But you can't leave the government shut down for a longer period of time. That's just going to diminish the Democratic brand as we try to go into the next election cycle.
Great point, John. I concur. I think sometimes you got to take a deal. There's no right, wrong, easy solution to this, but we'll have to wait and see what happens.
And Don will be the first guy building Trump's big shiny wall.
What?
Come back. Hour 2 is next. Our friend John Nichols at The Nation magazine going to call out our corrupt governor. Special elections now.
White House comment line.
I will not be lectured about what our military needs by a 5 deferment draft dodger.
Hi, I'm Crudy. I'm here with Bill Carroll, president of Teamsters Local 344. Bill, why are you union? Teamster strong.
Well, Crudy, our strength comes from our membership. The Teamsters are North America's strongest labor union with 1.4 million members.
Bill, what does the Teamsters do for the next generation?
The same thing that the Teamsters have done for the last 100 years. Assisting groups of workers in negotiating improvements in their wages, hours, and working conditions.
Where do people go if they want to know more about the Teamsters, more about joining the union?
There's 3 easy options. They can call Local 344 at 414-258-4545. They can contact us through our website. That's local344.org. Local, the number is 344.org, or they can contact us through the Local 344 Facebook page.
Be union strong. Join Teamsters 344. Be like Crudy. Be like News Talk 1510 AM. Stand with the unions. Join the Teamsters. Local344.org.
180 over 111, and I had a stroke. I couldn't speak or walk.
150 over 90, and I had a stroke.
This is what high blood pressure sounds like. You might not feel its symptoms, but the results from a stroke are far from silent. Get back on your treatment plan or talk with your doctor to create a plan that works for you. Go to loweryourhbp.org.
Head to toe, everything's changed.
Brought to you by the American Stroke Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
He is Mark Thompson. He is the chair of the Wisconsin Elections Commission.
When the leader of the Senate acts like a king rather than an elected representative and won't even give a hard-working person a hearing before he asks for his head on a plate, that is being a bully. So this is not, this is just stating the facts. No fake news here.
The Devil's Advocates, weekday afternoons on 1510 AM, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
You are listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, WRRD, 1510 AM, Waukesha, Milwaukee.
Special report, Senate shutdown compromise.
In a few hours, the government will reopen. We have a lot to do.
Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer announcing a deal to give up the Democratic block of another short-term spending bill to keep the government operating, saying Republican leader Mitch McConnell promises legislative consideration of protection for the Dreamers brought here illegally as children and now facing loss of status. But with no specific promises from the Republicans on the outcome of that consideration, Bob Costantini reports the Democrats are being pummeled for giving up their leverage.
The left is reacting angrily. Republicans and too many Democrats in Congress betrayed our
our American values and allowed bigotry and fear to prevail. That in a statement from the ACLU. Move On calls it a kick in the stomach. We need to build a movement so powerful that politicians from both parties are more afraid of the forces of decency than they are of white supremacists.
Both the Senate and the House still have to vote on the short-term spending bill, which then goes to President Trump. I'm Michael Toscano. Emergency teams in Pittsburgh County, Oklahoma, are trying to get a gas well shut down and the fire contained after an explosion, 5 workers missing. Police are investigating what led to this morning's shooting in a high school at Italy, Texas, near Dallas.
The relationship between the 16-year-old shooter and the 15-year-old girl who was shot isn't clear. Ellis County Sheriff Charles Edge says the boy ran from the school cafeteria after being confronted by a teacher.
And that is when the suspect fled. The suspect was apprehended outside of the cafeteria area while still on school grounds.
The motive still under investigation, and the girl remains in a Dallas hospital. Both the shooter and the victim were students at the school. I'm Clayton Neville.
The Pennsylvania Supreme Court has struck down the boundaries of the state's 18 congressional districts, saying they were unconstitutionally drawn to favor Republicans. Wall Street trading has just closed for the day, the Dow surging in late trading around 130 points, stocks hitting new highs across the boards. I'm Michael Toscano.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
Today we decided to walk to school. The light counted. 15, 14.
31? I mean, 13?
We took a left on Carroll Street. Danny's smart, but he gets distracted. He realized he forgot his homework. I hope he doesn't have another bad day at school.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's Understood.org, a free resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Go from misunderstanding to Understood.org. Brought to you by Understood and the Ad Council.
Of Larry Nassar's youngest victims and possibly his most recent, 15-year-old Emma Ann Miller, tearing into the former USA gymnastics doctor during his sexual molestation sentencing hearing today as he looked uncomfortably on.
I have never wanted to hate someone in my life, but my hate towards you is uncontrollable. Larry Nassar, I hate you.
Miller said she was 10 years old when she started getting monthly treatments from Nassar for a back injury, and that leads us to correspondent Gene Cazares reporting that Nassar's medical services now are coming into question as dozens of Nassar's sexual molestation victims continue to appear in court.
We even just heard that some had come forward over the weekend, but we're hearing new comments, new territory they're veering into today. Some of these victims are saying that Dr. Nassar's medical treatment didn't work. The 95th victim that spoke said that she's had 7 back surgeries because what he did just didn't help.
He's already facing a lifetime behind bars. I'm Michael Toscano.
Eric.
Is my kid in the right car seat? I guess she is.
There are probably rules on when to move up to a booster seat, aren't there?
Rear facing, forward facing. I think I have it right.
Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Are your children in the right car seat for their age and size? Don't think you know you know. Go to safercar.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Join the Resistance, WRRD, Resistance Radio. Tune in Monday through Friday beginning at 7 a.m. The Earl Ingram Show starts your day from 7 to 9. Then join Brian and Daryl for 414 Wisconsin from 9 to 11. You can hear the Tom Hartman program from 11 to 2. Then from 2 to 5, it's the Devil's Advocates with Dom and Crute. Tune in to 1510 a.m. throughout the day. WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Good afternoon. It is 3:05 for 1510 a.m. WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. My name is Brian Kelly. Governor Walker has proposed using $200 million in state and federal money to lower health care premiums in Wisconsin. Until now, Walker has been a fierce opponent of the Affordable Care Act, but he is expected to announce a broad health care package in his State of the State address on Wednesday. Among the proposals, Walker wants the Trump administration to permanently authorize senior care, the prescription drug program the governor had previously sought to scale back. Assembly Minority Leader Gordon Hintz was critical of the governor, saying if he was sincere, Walker would take the Medicaid expansion, freeing up more than $200 million for the state next year. Tonight, snow likely, about an inch of accumulation, lows in the upper 20s. And tomorrow, snowy and windy, less than an inch of additional accumulation, highs in the low 30s. Currently, still holding on at 39 degrees in Milwaukee and Waukesha for 1510 a.m. My name is Brian Kelly.
The following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves' corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back. Hour 2 of the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, we got a fine guest joining us momentarily. He is John Nichols from The Nation, from the Cap Times, and he put out a little piece today calling Governor Scott Walker, constitutionally bankrupt? Well, let's see how John would characterize it. John Nichols joins us now. Welcome back, John, to the Devil's Advocates.
It's a pleasure to be with you both.
Thank you, John, as always.
John, we were talking about the two vacancies amongst Wisconsin legislators. Keith Ripp and Frank Lassay, they've both gone to join the Walker administration. We saw an example of what should happen when Sheila Harsdorf left to join the Walker administration. But Scott Walker, despite the constitutional requirement that we do so, Scott Walker doesn't seemingly want to have special elections. Why not?
Well, I think there's a variety of reasons, and I won't try to get entirely into his head, but one suspects that it has something to do, and I know this is going to, might shock your delicate sensibilities, might have something to do with politics. It might not just be an efficiency of trying to save a couple bucks here or something like that. Look, here's the bottom line. Wisconsin has an elected legislature. No one is supposed to sit in that legislature unless they face the voters. We have a clearly defined system for how to replace people who leave the legislature. And remember, if we don't replace them, the residents of their districts are unrepresented. Decisions are made in their name but without their consent for the period when that vacancy occurs. Now, we understand vacancies will occur for a couple months. You have to organize an election, and that's an inconvenience of the democratic process, but a healthy one. But if you leave seats open for a full year, in the case of an assembly district, that means for half of a term, people are unrepresented. In the case of a state senate district, for a quarter of a term, they are unrepresented. And the weird part about this is that Walker knows this. He actually ran in a special election for the legislature in his first race back now, him being a career politician the better part of 30 years ago.
So many years ago, John.
But do you know who beat him in that race?
Gwen Moore.
That's right. A long time ago.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I think, in fairness, that first race was, I think, a regular election, but then he got himself into the legislature via a special election, if my history is correct. Bottom line is, his career started with special elections. And remember, when he got elected as county executive, that also was in an unscheduled election, one forced by petition campaign and protests about some issues in Milwaukee County. So it's not like Scott Walker doesn't get this stuff. It's not like he doesn't have experience in this area. He does. And he knows full well what the statutes say.
And what does the statute say about a May deadline, John? Explain that point to our audience.
Yeah. Well, you see, here's the deal. If you have a seat go open in an election year, it's reasonable that, not in my view positive, but reasonable that you might say, well, you can't pile up elections, right? So if a vacancy occurs after May of a regularly scheduled election year, then you get into a somewhat troublesome situation, because with the time you need to petition to get on the ballot, the scheduling of a primary and of a general election, you could have an intersection of, multiple elections and perhaps a relatively confusing situation. So the statutes are relatively clear. They say you don't have to do it after May.
But, John, it's January, man.
I know. Well, remember, when we became aware of these vacancies, you're even going back, into the end of December.
Yeah.
So there's simply no question that by any reasonable measure, you would have special elections. And here's the really weird part about it, guys. We're having spring elections in February and in April. It would be very convenient if you had, immediately moved to schedule. Now we're getting, into a complexity on it. But if you'd immediately moved to schedule, you could have at least timed some of the two special elections, their primaries, their generals, parallel to the spring elections. And so it would have been very convenient, also probably, or at least possibly, encourage higher turnout all around. And this is where you get into, if you want to really think of the darkest scenarios here, one reason why the governor might not want special elections is precisely what happened up in western Wisconsin in the 10th district. But another reason is that if you schedule special elections against the spring elections, or parallel to either their primaries or their generals, you might bump turnout as relates to the Supreme Court election, which is a very big deal for Scott Walker. And so no matter what his reasoning for not calling the special elections, it comes down to a situation where you're denying democracy. You're not having the choices that people should have, and ultimately the representation they have. That's bad. It's bad for Wisconsin. It's bad for the people who live in those districts. And I cannot see any excuse for this that doesn't come back to playing politics. And remember, whether you like him or not, Scott Walker is a political obsessive. I mean, this is a guy who, wakes up and thinks about electoral politics. And so I think his obsession got the best of him. He has tried to avert democracy in this case. And I believe, I may be wrong, but my sense is that the outcry on this is going to get louder and louder.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, 1510 AM WRRD. Our pal John Nichols, he's from The Nation and the Cap Times. He joins us on the phone. All right, John, I read an article recently about Governor Walker in this very situation, and because I believe it was Andre Jacques who was gearing up to run for Lacey's seat, and now presumably he will not do that if there's not going to be a special election. But I guess here's my question, John. How can the governor get away with this? His spokesperson said that under the governor's reading of the current statutes, he doesn't have to have a special election. So is there any loophole? Is there anything that I'm not seeing in the statute, John, that would give him an out?
Well, look, there's been a lot of gaming of the special election process in recent years by Scott Walker. He's been often very, very slow to call special elections, and clearly he's read the requirements to give him massive flexibility, much more freedom to kind of do what he wants than previous governors had understood. I think that if you were to bring a court challenge on this, I have a very hard time seeing how the governor would prevail. And my gut instinct is that any reasonable judge, even a judge who might be rather conservative, rather sympathetic to the governor, would say this is a good idea. Because understand where this game ends, right? If you have governors calling and scheduling special elections kind of at their whim rather than what the clear intent of the statutes are, and frankly, what the clear intent of of a state constitution that defines an elected legislature and gives it authority that is supposedly a check and a balance on the executive, you could end up in a situation where a governor could pluck somebody out of the legislature. Now, in this case, both the people that left, Rip and, let's say, and previously Harsdorf, were Republicans, so he's bringing Republicans out. But imagine if you had an evenly balanced legislature and you plucked you're a Republican governor, you pluck a Democrat out, a vulnerable one or one who is interested in a much better paying job. You give him that job, and then you never call the special, right? In that case, you had the potential to literally define, governance there. And it's not going to happen under Walker in this case because the Republicans have solid majorities in the Assembly and the Senate. But it could happen in the near future, right? And this is a terrible precedent to set. Even if you were to accept, some of the governor's claims, which have been proven false, by the way. I mean, the claim from the governor's office that they need to have special elections because the legislature wasn't going to be doing anything this year.
Well, John, didn't the governor undermine his own deal there by calling for a special session to stick it to welfare recipients the day after he saw the 10th turn like 26 points to the blue? Scott Walker overreacted and had to get out there with something, quote unquote, positive. John, didn't he undermine his own rationale?
Well, I believe it's 37 points to the blue. By the
But
way.
who's counting, John?
You've got to add together the 26 on the Harsdorf side and then the 11 on this current cycle. So that I think is 37-point swing in that district, which is a little unsettling to anybody. But not only are you talking about this special session to beat up on people who are in economically bad circumstances, which really does reinforce a lot of stereotypes about the governor. But he's also talking about speeding up the prison reforms, right? The Lincoln Hills reforms, which are a response to the crisis created under his leadership up there at these facilities for girls and boys in northern Wisconsin. And just today, he's talking about all sorts of twists and turns as regards Badger Care and Medicaid and a host of other things. So the fact of the matter is it's starting to look like we might have potentially, and we don't know that all these things end up in the legislature, but potentially a very, very busy year in the legislature. And certainly a year where the people of central Wisconsin and of parts of the Fox River Valley might want some representation.
Maybe.
John, how long before Scott Walker's calling himself a Democratic Socialist and running as a Bernie Sanders populist, do you think?
Well, I like this expansion of the Medicare and everything. I think it's a minor tinker, but if he does start to call it Badger Care for All or Medicaid for All, watch out because he may be trying to compete with Sanders on some of those issues.
Well, he certainly doesn't seemingly have an ideological backbone any longer. John Nichols.
I think, with all due respect, I think he's got an ideological backbone. I think it just goes soft at election time.
John Nichols, our good friend from The Nation, from the Cap Times. John, thank you so much for joining us. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Another fine guest, Mary Arnold, chair of the Columbia County Dems. It's her people affected up there by the Keith Rip vacancy. And also, Dom, breaking news out of Milwaukee. Milwaukee Bucks have fired coach Jason Kidd. I like Jason Kidd. Saw him out at a bar downtown I guess
not
it's
too
been a
long
year
ago.
or two ago. Back when he was taking the job. Come back with us. We'll get fired if we don't take a break. More Devil's Advocates right here on WRRD 1510 AM, Wisconsin's only Resistance Radio.
Thank you for calling the White House comment line.
What do you think of these online reports that say you had a love child in college?
I was on Zero Res Madison's Facebook page the other day, and they have almost 2,000 testimonials from local customers. Apparently, I'm not the only one stoked on how cool this company is. A green technology that actually works better and doesn't cost more. It's a no-brainer. I'm in. We are starting our own Devil's Advocates revolution to free your carpets from harsh chemicals and soaps. Call Zero Res today and ask for the Dom and Crute special 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward. It's the right way to clean.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
Going through divorce is a very emotional time in someone's life, and when I went through my first divorce, I really needed someone to help me through the legal aspects of what my rights were. That's why I got in contact with Lawton & Cates.
The attorneys at Lawton & Cates. It's who you turn to for legal advice. 282-6200 or lawtoncates.com.
When you need an attorney, trust the voice of experience. The only choice, Lawton & Cates.
Whoa. The moment my son saw a redwood tree.
It's huge!
Is the moment I knew that for him,
You can't even see the top of that thing.
even the sky has no limit.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go. Your moment is out there. Find it at discovertheforest.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Make a resolution, Milwaukee, to eat your fruits and vegetables. Go to the new Pete's Fruit Market on Martin Luther King and North Ave. Find the freshest fruit, always the perfect peach. Pete's Fruit Market is a brand new, modern, full-service grocery with an in-store butcher shop. Go see the manager, Vidal, for daily specials at the new Pete's Fruit Market on North Ave in MLK. Tell them that the Devil's Advocate sent you.
Businesses today thrive and survive with technology. At Five Nines, we provide businesses with the IT tools they need to stay relevant. We offer enterprise-level solutions at competitive prices. I'm Todd Stryker, President and CEO of Five Nines. Let us manage your IT so you can focus on more important things, like running your business. Check us out at fivenines.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling on it.
The dad joke. Corny, groan-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
What did the buffalo say when he dropped his son off for school? Bye, son.
So take a moment to make your kid laugh, because dad jokes rule. Make your kid laugh today. Go to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Hey everybody, I'm Daryl Ingram of News Talk 1510 WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, and I am the Director of Advertising and Marketing. The pride of our independent stands runs deep in all that we do here at the station. The thing that I know for sure is that you can count on the quality and independent production of client advertising, mirroring the quality and independence of our fine programming here at News Talk 1510. To learn more, contact me at 414-335-0851 or via email at daryl@newstalk1510am.com.
Wreaking havoc on America, just like they wreaked havoc on Wisconsin. Dom and Crute are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. You can give us a call, 844-967-2789.
Thank you, John Nichols from The Nation. Welcome, Mary Arnold, Chair of the Columbia County Dems. Mary, welcome to the Devil's Advocates. I hope someone's not goosing you over there.
Oh, no, I was just so excited to hear that John Nichols was there because I just love John Nichols.
Yeah, he's awesome. Thanks for joining us, Mary.
Hey, Mary, we were talking with John about this topic that affects the constituents of Keith Ripp. Keith, Republican, Lodi area. Some of that's in Columbia County. Mary, that's where you come in. What is the mood on the ground in Columbia County in regards to Keith Ripp's seat? Why would Democrats or any voters allow this vacancy to go on without challenging the governor on this point?
Well, great question. And I have to say, since this decision came down, I've gotten so many emails and phone calls from people in Keith Ripp's district wanting to know what they can do about this. It's clear the governor seems pretty nervous about the possibility of losing another seat in the legislature, and he should be, given what happened in Senate District 10 last week. Yay, Patty! We think he's realizing that people are waking up to the negative impact that he's had on the quality of life, in Wisconsin. The cuts in education, he's kind of doing a little bit of an about face there during this election year, and he says he's going to provide more education funding. And I think something came out recently about the Obamacare and how he always said we should refuse federal funding, the federal funds that were available for that. Well, now it sounds like he's kind of changing his mind on that a little bit. So it's an election year, and I think he's frightened that the will of the people is becoming louder and clearer. And my guess is that he's hoping that if he puts off an election until November, maybe the tide will have shifted a little bit, and he'll be able to see to it that a Republican can retake that seat, or take it. I mean, they've had it for a few years. So I think that's his reasoning for postponing the election.
Hey, Mary, let me interrupt because we're going to run out of time. Do you, the Dems, have a candidate that's able and willing to run for the Keith Ripp seat, be it in special election or in the fall?
Yeah, I can say that we definitely have been reaching out to people that we think are strong candidates, and we've got some very interested, experienced Democrats who definitely are interested in taking this on. So, yes, I can assure you of that.
And, Mary, how did Keith Ripp's electoral breakdown go the last time? Was this a close race? How did Hillary Clinton do in that voting block?
Well, the 40 is as you guys know, the state has been so gerrymandered that the 42nd now is pretty much a 60-40 district. When Keith Ripp first ran in 2008, you guys might remember he lost. I'm sorry, he won by 22 votes, only 22 votes, and then in the tide of 2010, he won by more votes, and then the district was changed when the Republicans gerrymandered. So. I think people would have thought that a Democrat winning the Senate District 10 was, out of reach.
Mary, running out of time. 20 seconds, if you don't mind, Mary. Any intention to sue or to bring some lawsuit to the governor?
We're going to be talking about that in our executive committee meeting coming up later this week. So we're going to take that under advisement, and we're certainly complaining about it.
Well, Mary Arnold, we vote for lawsuits now, and we appreciate your time. Mary Arnold, Chair.
I'll tell my committee that you guys put in a good word for lawsuits.
All right. Thank
Put
you,
us
Mary.
down for 2 lawsuits. Mary Arnold, Chair of the Columbia County Dems, more devil's advocates on the other side.
Thank you for calling the White House comment line.
They'd like to take me out for a lot of reasons far bigger than just this election.
You wanted to see me?
Yes, please, have a seat. So here's the thing. When this company brought you on, we took a chance on you. You didn't have that 4-year college degree we typically look for.
Right.
But we gave you a shot anyway. And since then, you've worked incredibly hard and given it your all.
Thanks.
You've been an important asset to the team, but I don't think you can be an intern here anymore. We want to hire you.
You're serious?
Absolutely.
Find your next great employee. Introduce yourself to the Grads of Life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
I won't let you down.
I know.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Hello, I'm State Senator LaTanya Johnson. This year's primary will be held on February 20th, and the spring election is on April 3rd. We will not be taken for granted.
When Wisconsin Republican Brad Schimmel
I don't have a lot of expertise.
decided to run for Wisconsin Attorney General,
I don't even know my own website address.
even some conservatives questioned his ability.
You can always say no to a request for an interview, and I kind of wish Mr. Schimmel had said no. I don't think he was ready for that.
Schimmel claims to be all about law and order.
You start with the default position that yes, you will enforce the laws.
Apparently, even if that means enforcing a 1960s-style ban on interracial marriage.
It might be distasteful to me, but I've got to stay consistent with that as the state's lawyer. It's not my job to pick and choose.
Wisconsin deserves a competent attorney general.
We've got to go.
Yes, Brad Schimmel, you do gotta go. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
I'm Andy Buck, and I'm proud to be union.
Tell me about the underground economy.
Well, the underground economy is essentially workers being exploited, and they're being exploited all over the state. They're working for no benefits, no retirement, and if you don't join your brothers and sisters, you don't respect your craft.
Andy, why should I hire union?
Crudy, you should hire union because you want the job done right the first time. We represent the highest skilled, safety-trained workers in the industries that we represent. Glazers, painters, and drywall finishers. Join us. Painters and Allied Trades, District Council 7.
Dominic, I can't believe it's been a year. A year that this radio station, WRD, has been on the air.
Crudy, it's time for a party. Join WRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, and all of our listeners on Thursday, February 1st at Regano's Roman Coin, 1004 East Brady Street. That's on the corner of Astor and Brady.
The party begins at 5 o'clock. Free beer for all our friends, at least while it lasts. So come join us Thursday, February 1st. The party begins at 5.
Good afternoon, it's 3:32 for 1510 a.m. WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. My name is Brian Kelly with a few headlines for you. Wisconsin's work requirements for food share recipients has cost the state $33 million over the past 2 years and has led to 86,000 people losing their food share assistance. Governor Walker's new welfare reforms include making food stamp recipients work 30 hours per week and have a photo ID and drug testing people who live in public housing. Also, Governor Walker has proposed using $200 million in state and federal money to lower health care premiums in Wisconsin. Also, Brad Schimmel is being criticized for his appointment of a former dairy industry lobbyist and attorney to lead the Environmental Protection Unit of the Justice Department. Phoenix Suns are in town to take on the Bucks, who are without their coach. They just recently fired Jason Kidd. Tonight, snow likely and about an inch of accumulation, lows in the upper 20s. It's currently 39 degrees in Milwaukee and Waukesha. For 1510 a.m., my name is Brian Kelly.
The Devil's Advocates, the fix for political junkies everywhere.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Dominic, this day's just clipping along. Jason Kidd gets fired. I didn't see that one coming. I thought the Bucks were doing pretty good this year. Jason Kidd, a relatively young man like ourselves.
Relatively young.
I might be a better baller than he.
Yeah, in your mind, I'm sure you are.
Dom, I want to thank our last guest, Mary Arnold, chair of the Columbia County Dems. Moving on to a new fine guest, Robert Craig. He is the executive director of Citizen Action of Wisconsin, a friend of ours. Robert, welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show.
Oh, it's great to be with you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Robert.
Robert, do us a favor. Explain this newest healthcare proposal of Governor Scott Walker. Wasn't this the guy that always opposed Obamacare?
Yes, that's been the extent of his whole healthcare policy. I mean, we've had costs skyrocketing throughout his administration, and for him, everything's Obamacare's fault, the Affordable Care Act, and then he's done everything in his power to sabotage it. The biggest thing being turning down the extra money for Medicaid at great cost to the state, but a whole lot of other actions as well. And he has never treated this as the crisis it is, and the huge public concern, maybe the top election issue in 2018, according to a lot of polling, which is why all of a sudden, lo and behold, he in his State of the State is going to do something about healthcare costs, but it's extremely minimal, and it doesn't even amount to enough to undo the damage that he's done to healthcare during his governorship. But that's similar to other areas where he's suddenly taking a different line just as he goes into his attempt to win a third term.
Now, Robert, I have always criticized this governor. I found it entirely indefensible that he refused to accept the Obamacare Medicaid expansion. But Robert, to the best of my understanding, that's not what he's proposing here. Basically, he wants to take state tax dollars and prop up those that, do not receive Obamacare subsidies through the federal exchanges. Effectively, isn't he subsidizing the private insurance market and also those that have some material means and therefore are not eligible for subsidies through the federal exchange?
That would be the primary impact, but the mechanism is to give money to insurance companies. So reinsurance is literally making public payments with public dollars to insurance companies who have very high claims. So based on the number of cases they have where they run into the hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars, they'll get a subsidy. And the theory, and there's some reason to believe this, is that this will slightly reduce premiums because the insurance companies no longer have to insure that amount, right? You're essentially having the public pay the insurance companies whenever they have a big claim, if you get what I'm saying.
Robert, if I may interrupt at this point, how similar or different is this to the risk corridors that Marco Rubio poison-pinned out of Obamacare? Weren't insurance companies already being reimbursed within certain risk corridors? And if their expense exceeded the risk corridor, they were reimbursed by the federal government. Isn't this only necessary due to the undermining of Obamacare by the federal government, Rubio, Trump, and the team?
You got it. This was a small part of the Affordable Care Act that Republicans stripped out. Marco Rubio, the senator from Florida, led that effort, but we heard no complaints from Walker whatsoever. His line has been to repeal, repeal, repeal. So in Minnesota has done a reinsurance plan. It doesn't do anything for most people. There's about 83% of people who buy insurance through the Affordable Care Act get subsidies. It doesn't help them at all, tax subsidies. It helps the 17% that don't, so people who make too much money to get the subsidies. And it would reduce, according to our information, premiums. This is for spending $200 million in state money that's paid by the state. It would reduce premiums about 4%. Premiums went up an average of 50% between 2017 and 2018. So it doesn't really do much about the scale of the problem. And for a small number of people, if you were to do something like open up Badger Care to everyone, it would reduce premiums for not just that small group of people, but anyone who bought insurance on their own or any small business by 24% or more. So there are much more effective things you could do if you actually want to solve the problem and actually want to use the full power of our state government at less cost. Opening up Badger Care would not cost the state anything. This is a $200 million subsidy to the insurance industry to very moderately reduce premiums for a very small number of people.
Now, Robert, you're going to have to remind me. My brain gets fuzzy sometimes, but when there was the threat of the repeal of Obamacare and its protections for those with pre-existing conditions, wasn't Scott Walker uniquely the only governor that went out there and said he would seek a waiver so that we could remove people with pre-existing conditions from Wisconsin insurance pools?
He was indeed. He then quickly backpedaled when he got the inevitable public backlash because people think it's absolutely outrageous to deny someone coverage when they need it the most, see it as incredibly unethical. But he did float that idea. Now he says he wants to do something. He wants to pick up a bill from Representative Sanfilippo. This will be part of his State of the State message as well. But it has a lot of fine print. They're going to say that it's going to say that insurance companies can't dump people off their insurance with pre-existing conditions if they have continuous coverage. But if they don't, of course, then they still can be discriminated against. And it does nothing about being priced out of the market, which is, of course, one of the major ways that insurance companies keep you out in the old system is simply to charge you so much you can't afford it and you go without insurance.
Hey, Robert.
And so
I got to throw out there what Sanfilippo's proposition to me was. I had Sanfilippo on the show one day. It's been about 4 or 5 months, and Sanfilippo wants to go back to the good old days, and somehow he thinks the philanthropic will step in to fill the hole, which is currently provided by Obamacare. And I pointed out to him that once upon a time, under the old plan, we were jamming like $73 million per budget into the hospital association to fill the gap that philanthropy didn't fill. And Sanfilippo said to me, well, maybe they could roll out a GoFundMe page.
Yeah, this is like having...
And this is his proposal that Walker's adopting?
This is like having the fundraiser for any time someone is unlucky enough to get cancer diagnosis. It just isn't going to cut it, right? And so, yeah, this is a weird thing where they actually did an amendment to a Setter-Erpenbach bill that actually did protect people from pre-existing condition discrimination, and went to this thing, which really doesn't do it. So what you can see here is a political positioning where he's still not really willing to do anything, Governor Walker, that would actually help average people or small businesses afford insurance. But apparently he's read the polling and realizes that this is one of his biggest vulnerabilities, and that health care, a lot of people think, will be the top election issue in 2018. So just like with his sudden increase in education spending in his very last budget, which didn't make up for the previous damage, he's doing the same thing. So our analysis is that actually rates are higher because he's not taking the Medicaid money that is on the private insurance market, then this makes up for, even if you give him full credit for the reinsurance plan, just for example.
You are listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, 1510 AM WRRD. Our pal Robert Craig, he's the executive director at Citizen Action of Wisconsin. He joins us on the phone. All right, Robert, let me ask you this. Could Governor Walker, as of today, still accept federal Medicaid money?
Yes, he could, and that would be a bigger change on his part and would help a lot more people, but it would cause him to have to admit, right, that the best way to guarantee people have access to health care is to actually expand public programs like Badger Care. And he's unwilling to do that ideologically. And it's fascinating. This is sort of he's trying to have his cake and eat it too, trying to soften his image on health care. I just don't think it's going to wash. I think that the polling is overwhelming, that if people are voting on health care, they're not going to trust Governor Walker to do anything about guaranteeing people quality, affordable health care no matter what, or freedom from discrimination.
And didn't Governor Walker, as one of the justifications for not accepting the Medicaid expansion, was that, you can't rely on the federal government? But isn't a big chunk of this $200 million provided by the federal government?
That is correct. I mean, a large portion of his budget is provided by the federal government. So he just picks and chooses what his rationalizations are. We know that at the time he thought that the politics were that he should be against the Affordable Care Act and Obamacare no matter what, and undermine in every way because he thought he was going to have a successful run for president in 2016. So now he knows that he's put himself in a tough position because he is literally in lockstep with the position that of Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell in the federal level, which has those Trump care bills have 17% public support. But quite frankly, yes, that was one of his rationalizations, that somehow we can't rely upon the federal government for money, even though a huge part of his budget, including this proposal, relies on federal money.
And Robert, if Governor Walker would have pushed through this $200 million program, who would benefit the most? Those paying the premiums or the insurance companies, in your opinion?
It really doesn't require the insurance companies to pass all the money on to individuals at all. So it's a direct subsidy to insurance companies based on how many big claims they have, and
so,
then they
no
decide what their rates are.
And I'm sorry, Robert, but no guarantee that those savings would trickle down to the end consumers who are paying those premiums.
No, and they're very small. As I say, there was a 50% rate spike, a lot because of Walker and Trump's sabotage of the Affordable Care Act between last year and this year. And best case, according to the national numbers, this would reduce it by 4%. So you go from a 50% on average to a 46%. Whereas if he would open up Badger Care, there'd be a direct reduction, not an increase and so you have, in other words, people would pay less this year than last year by 24%. So there's a clear, and most of the Democrat candidates governor are running on opening up Badger Care so people can buy into it. It's far more effective, and it doesn't cost any money to do it because we've already created Badger Care, and it's already a more efficient and simpler system because the profit is not there as much. It is a public system.
Robert, is it possible that Medicaid expansion. Here's what sticks in my crosshair. Every time I talk to a Republican, they say Medicaid is a budget blowing hole in the budget because Medicaid's uncontrollable. Yet they refuse to accept the Medicaid money. And quite frankly, although there's been no formal repeal of Obamacare and certainly no replacement thereof, there's been massive efforts to undermine Obamacare. Now, when I had to shop for insurance for my small group, our premiums are up 13%. So even though this current system might still be in place, I mean, it is literally teetering on the brink because the Republicans have brought it to that brink. Robert, do you think there is going to be what we know as Obamacare in another year or two, or have Republicans sort of destroyed and so undermined the system that there's very little of it left?
I think it'll still be here. You saw a lot of sign-up this year, even though there was every attempt to sabotage sign-up to shorten the amount of time people have, not to give any publicity, because there's a whole chunk of people that need it in order to get health coverage. It's going to be more and more expensive, needlessly so, because of this sabotage. But I think it will still be there. The question is which states are going to move forward to actually build on it and stabilize. It becomes a state issue now with gridlock in Washington, even more so than before. And states like Minnesota, or states like, if we're going to continue to be like Walker has been in Wisconsin, which is everything to sabotage the Affordable Care Act and hope he can blame someone else for the fire he himself is causing.
Yeah, I don't see how that's much of a re-election platform.
Or to take credit for the fire that he's trying to put out that he created.
Exactly.
Robert Craig, our friend, Executive Director, Citizen Action of Wisconsin. We appreciate you joining us here on the Devil's Advocates Radio today. Everyone, you can join us. Toll-free lines open now, 844-967-2789. We'll come back with your calls right here on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Thank you for calling the White House comment line.
Mr. Trump, we don't need an apprentice in the White House. You know, I'm an Eagle Scout.
Hi, I'm Crudy. I'm here with Bill Carroll, president of Teamsters Local 344. Bill, why are you union? Teamster strong.
Well, Crudy, our strength comes from our membership. The Teamsters are North America's strongest labor union with 1.4 million members.
Bill, what does the Teamsters do for the next generation?
The same thing that the Teamsters have done for the last 100 years, assisting groups of workers in negotiating improvements in their wages, hours, and working conditions.
Where do people go if they want to know more about the Teamsters, more about joining the union?
There's 3 easy options. They can call Local 344 at 414-258-4545. They can contact us through our website. That's local344.org. Local, the number is 344.org, or they can contact us through the Local 344 Facebook page.
Be union strong. Join Teamsters 344. Be like Crudy. Be like News Talk 1510 AM. Stand with the unions. Join the Teamsters. Local344.org.
My name is Lola Silvestri, and I'm going to be 95 this year. I was very independent. I fell, and I had to have Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Juice, Mom! Juice, juice, juice!
Mommy, why are we going to the store?
Mom, I want juice!
Mom!
Juice, juice, juice!
Mom!
Your child will have different needs at different stages of life, and that includes the car seat. See, car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Protect your child's future at every stage of life. Go to safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Brad Saug, owner of Zero Res Madison Carpet Cleaning. Zero Res is the best new technology in carpet cleaning. We have a patented process using empowered water, a high-tech process in which we force the water to act like soap. it doesn't want to stay in that state. It's jacked up and it's angry and it wants to hit the dirt and then it neutralizes. When we're done, all that's left in your carpet is just light moisture. In the end, you get the cleanest, greenest, healthiest carpet cleaning available. Call us at 848-9000. Zerorez. Spell it backward or forward. It's the right way to clean.
Have you outgrown your house? Are you sick of apartment living? Not ready to buy but know you need to move? Hi folks, this is Tom Hartman for CCL Management in Middleton. You should consider moving up to one of the finer rental homes CCL Management represents. Unique houses and condos, always clean, most are pet friendly. Visit cclmanagement.com today to find your new home. CCL Management, Dane County's premier leasing and property management company.
Call CCL Management at 833-0009. That's 833-0009 or visit cclmanagement.com today.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
That guy is a scary son of a gun, and I hope people start paying attention and get him the heck out of there, because he's like a big fascist general that's controlling our state, and then our attorney general. Wow, that guy ought to be locked up himself. I mean, he makes the sheriff of Milwaukee look kind of saintly.
The Devil's Advocates, weekday afternoons on 1510 a.m. Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
The Devil's Advocates. Rock and roll political commentary in a top 40 world.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, 1510 a.m. WRRD. Streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, on Twitter at Devil Radio, and on the phones 844-967-2789.
Dominic, I want to thank our friend, Executive Director, Citizen Action of Wisconsin, Robert Craig, for joining us. Before that, Mary Arnold. Before that, John Nichols. Before that, Christine Newman-Ortiz.
Whoa, man, you're blowing my mind over here.
And in the happy hour, we got the two Toms from Teamsters Local 200. They'll join us here. Make the happy hour a little happier, about 4:30 today. But in the interim, Dom, a couple of things. A little good of the order stuff. Walker, the Wankinator. He's got the State of the State address, and that's Wednesday. I may have misspoken last week and said Tuesday. Tuesday is where they're going to fire Michael Haas without any sort of, let's call it a public hearing, just a public execution.
The administrator of the Elections Commission.
That is planned for Tuesday, the 23rd.
The public hanging happens tomorrow.
Hang 'em high. But I'm not dead yet.
I'm not dead. I'm getting better.
And then the State of the State, and this one, a non-primetime performance by the not ready for primetime governor.
So appropriate.
It does seem appropriate, and we're endeavoring to bring super special coverage. We will either be at the Wisconsin State Capitol,
or we won't be,
or we will not be. But we will be stepping all over the gubernator's speech. I guarantee you that. About 3 o'clock, he goes live.
We go live.
We'll go live as well. We'll step on him.
A little Mystery Science Theater 3000 kind of a style.
Yes, in real time, I will react to the big lies, propaganda, and bumper stickers this man's spinning at the State of the State. And let's not forget, this station, it just keeps getting better. This weekend, on Saturday, Educators Amplified, 12 to 3 p.m. Earl Ingram, Dr. Tim Slecker, the Dean of Education at Edgewood College in Madison. They come together with some fine MTEA Region 7 people, and they're doing an Educators Amplified at the Cactus Club in Milwaukee, Saturday, 12 to 3. We will broadcast that event live, brought to you by MTEA Region 7. New sponsors on this fine radio station.
And it's been very well received. If you get a chance, show up at the Cactus Club down in Bayview. If not, just tune in once again on Saturday. Educators Amplified, 12 to 3 on WRRD.
Now let's get to the phones. 844-967-2789. You can always call us. Doesn't cost you nothing. Right, Pizza Box Mike?
No, it doesn't. Boy, but I'll tell you, the Democratic Party cost us again. I guess if you were trying to message to America, let me tell you what you did. You blew it again. I mean, you're worried about what people are going to think after they just ran all over you. Had the vice president out there, basically, as far as I'm concerned, that's sedition, to go in front of the troops in another country and blame somebody and lie in front of everybody and divide and conquer us with the military. Look, I'll tell you what. This is where the Republican Party and that slippery slope is, okay? We don't like Hitler, but he's our guy. That's what you guys are saying. Whether you believe it or not, that's where it's at. I spent a lot of time in the Capitol. I guess I upset several people for stopping in and making a comment or two in the office. The cop said, were you in an office? No, I was in several, okay? The doors weren't locked. The people that work there work for me. Yeah, but Mike, there's another way. No, there isn't. I'll do it my way. You can do it your way, which is to pretend that being, I guess, totally civil and kind and everything when we're watching what these people are doing is horrific. If you don't like your job at the Capitol because a guy like me might confront you with the truth, get a job, okay? There's plenty out there.
Michael just used our line. It's never personal, only politics.
Exactly. And let's start playing a better game on the Democratic side. That's all right. We saw a bunch of women march, and maybe some of them will spine up for Schumer and Pelosi and some of the guys that have been there just a little bit too long, maybe. Thank you for serving us. Please retire.
Thank you for listening, Michael. You can keep listening and calling. We appreciate his calls.
Always,
passionate man.
I love it when Pizza Box get up. And absolutely encourage everybody. Go down to the Capitol.
Shut down.
Go down to the Wisconsin State Capitol. If you don't like what's happening, you can knock on the door, walk in, and just talk to any of those folks. That's what they're there for, right, Mike?
You think you could talk to the gubernator? I don't think that's feasible. I don't think he takes public comment. You could try those. 608-266-1212. Governor, I'm sure he's waiting with bated breath for your call right now. I bet you on his voicemail, he blames the Democrats and the big government union bosses.
Oh, yeah, always them. And don't forget the dark out-of-state money.
That's his real fear this election cycle. Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. Our only fear is you're going somewhere and it's not time to go. It's time to stay, listen to the news, a few brief commercial notes, and then the happy hour. It's going to start right here on Brady Street. Tell you what, why don't you crack one open with us, and we'll all be happy. Devil's Advocates will be back.
Thank you for calling the White House comment line.
I'm getting better.
No, you're not. You'll be stone dead in a moment.
Wisconsin Republican Attorney General Brad Schimmel claims he will further investigate the investigators of the John Doe 2 investigation because it was all a partisan witch hunt. Wisconsin State Rep Chris Taylor said this.
There is absolutely no concern expressed by this Attorney General or these Republican legislators about the underlying criminal conduct that this corruption investigation revealed. Scott Walker was breaking laws.
And Brad Schimmel fails to acknowledge the 6 criminal convictions, 4 felonies in the Scott Walker John Doe 1. Was that also a partisan witch hunt?
One newspaper has done a good job. It's a national paper, the Wall Street Journal.
And A.G. Schimmel filed an embarrassing hack partisan bull report where he's still looking for the leaker. Get a clue! Wasn't it Eric O'Keefe from Wisconsin Club for Growth?
Well, I was born to do this.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org. P4ppc.org.
Hello, I'm State Senator LaTanya Johnson. Making sure Wisconsin residents continue to have equal and fair access to voting is very important to me. Here are some key things you should know. Wisconsin requires a photo ID, and chances are you already have what you need to vote. A Wisconsin DMV-issued driver's license. You can use this even if it's revoked or suspended. A Wisconsin DMV-issued identification card. A military ID issued by the U.S. Uniformed Services, or a U.S. passport book or card. You can use these items even if they're expired, as long as the expiration date is after the most recent general election held on November 8th, 2016. For more information about registering to vote, please visit myvote.wi.gov or call the Wisconsin Election Commission Help Desk at 608-261-2028. We won't be taken for granted.
This message was brought to you by WRRD 1510 AM. You are listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, WRRD 1510 AM, Waukesha, Milwaukee.
Lost leverage, Pennsylvania gerrymandering. I'm Michael Toscano. The United States Senate has just approved a short-term spending bill to allow Uncle Sam to spend money again, 81-18, but he's on a short leash that reaches only until February 8th. We're expecting a similar vote in the House of Representatives over the next hour or so, with the bill then going to President Trump. The breakthrough coming after Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer reached a compromise with GOP leader Mitch McConnell, removing the Democratic bloc on ending the government shutdown in return for consideration of protection for the Dreamers who are losing their status in this country.
While this procedure will not satisfy everyone on both sides, it's a way forward. I'm confident that we can get the 60 votes in the Senate for a DACA bill. And now there is a real pathway to get a bill on the floor and through the Senate.
But there's no guarantee the House will even take up any such bill, and that's drawing harsh criticism from some House Democrats, like Florida's Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who says Senate Democrats gave away their leverage.
As a House member, I'll be voting no.
The Pennsylvania Supreme Court has struck down the boundaries of the state's 18 congressional districts, ruling they were unconstitutionally drawn up to favor Republicans, who hold a wide majority of the seats, despite trailing Democrats at the polls. John Stolness on what comes next.
The democratically controlled court has given the Republican-controlled legislature until February 9th to redo the boundaries. If a plan is not submitted to the court by February 15th, the justices say they will adopt a plan that will still allow for the primary election in May to continue as scheduled.
Unhappy Republicans say they'll appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court to leave the Pennsylvania district lines alone. Puerto Rico just said it will privatize its troubled state-owned power company following decades of mismanagement and corruption, with the power still off for half the island since the hurricanes. On Wall Street, the big three perked up after the shutdown deal. The Dow soared 143 points, the S&P 500 23 points higher, the NASDAQ up 72. I'm Michael Toscano.
It's official.
When you need an attorney, trust the voice of experience, the only choice, Lawton and Cates.
I needed an attorney because I was injured at work. I wanted to find a reputable attorney. The results that I got with Lawton and Cates were very good. I'm very happy with the way I was treated and the end result that I got.
Trust the voice of experience. Call the attorneys at Lawton and Cates, 282-6200, 282-6200.
It's a lot easier to measure how many times students use a semicolon correctly in an essay.
Educated educators talking education.
Than it is to measure how many wonderful ideas are in that essay.
At Busted Pencils.
There is no teacher shortage.
With Dr. Tim Slecker.
There is a teacher exit.
Featuring Matt Damon's mom.
You want to know what my mom would say?
We've had an intrusion into education.
Busted Pencils Radio. Saturdays at 11 on Resistance Radio.
Movie. A Russian spy ship spotted 100 miles southeast of Wilmington, North Carolina, but it's real life. As Pentagon correspondent Barbara Starr reports, it's a routine exercise for the Russians.
This is a Russian spy ship known as the Viktor Leonov, and it has been out there before. Pretty much swings by the United States once a year or so. It had been down in the Caribbean. Now it's moving up the coast. Important to note, it's in international waters. It does not come inside U.S. waters, but it's a ship that's full of spying equipment, communications, intercept equipment, that sort of thing.
And now it's become a case of spy versus spy.
The USS Cole is out there. It broke off from some of its routine operations and is trailing the Russian spy ship for a while, just making sure that everybody is keeping an eye on everybody else.
Our thanks to Barbara Starr at the Pentagon, keeping an eye on all of them. I'm Michael Toscano.
Eric was...
Man, do I love card night. You ready, boys? You got a king?
Go, fish dad!
Oh, come on! This is WWE superstar Titus O'Neil. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today. Learn more at 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Dad, this is fun. I didn't think I liked kayaking.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, but I think it's time to head back in.
Okay. Can we come back?
Sure. Hey, be careful getting out of the boat.
It's a kayak, Dad.
I'm going to return the kayak.
Can we walk home?
How about a taxi?
It's a short fare from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a neighborhood park or green space near you. Brought to you by the Ad.
Good afternoon. It is 4:05 for 1510 a.m. WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. My name is Brian Kelly. Governor Walker's new welfare reforms include making food stamp recipients work 30 hours per week and have a photo ID and drug testing people who live in public housing. The governor called for a special legislative session to overhaul Wisconsin's public assistance programs. Walker is pushing for a series of bills, including one that would require able-bodied parents of children on food stamps to work or get training to receive more than 3 months of benefits. Suns are in town tonight to take on the Bucks, but the Bucks are going to be without their coach. They just fired head coach Jason Kidd. Also, the Super Bowl teams are set. It's going to be Patriots and Eagles in 2 weeks. Tonight, snow likely on about an inch of accumulation, lows in the upper 20s. And tomorrow, snowy and windy, less than a half an inch of additional accumulation. It's currently 39 degrees in Milwaukee and 39 in Waukesha. For 1510 a.m., my name is Brian Kelly.
The following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, we're sliding into the 4 o'clock happy hour, and I'd be happy if Fancy Brian never, ever mentioned the Patriots again, or I might have to deflate his balls.
Well, I was just speaking about the AFC Championship team. That's all.
He's just, reading the news, man. I mean, it is a fact the Patriots are going to the Super Bowl again.
Well, if you would both like some deflated balls, you just let me know.
I have no idea what you mean by that, but you can't deny that the Patriots are, in fact, going back to the Super Bowl.
It's true.
You're both pissing me off right now. I'm getting sort of that Jason Kidd, I got fired on a Monday afternoon sort of feeling.
Come on, Jason Kidd. Really haven't...
Bet he's not real happy either.
Haven't heard any details regarding the firing of the Milwaukee Bucks head coach.
Well, I see the Bucks have confirmed the firing of Jason Kidd, and they said, we're going in a different direction, and if you guys bring up the Patriots one more time, so will WRD 1510 a.m.
What? The New England Patriots?
Perhaps you could join his coaching staff when he looks for work elsewhere.
Yeah. Don't worry, I promise I won't bring up the Patriots anymore today.
I'm about to beat your ass. Right here on the street.
Come on, man. Here we go. Do it. Bring it, baby.
What street are we on, by the way?
Brady Street.
Awesome.
You son of a gun.
He is salty, Brian. Look at him. He just can't help himself. Come on, it's only a game.
If there was any consolation this weekend, it's that the Vikings got their ass kicked.
It's not Minnesota.
Dom, let's talk more politics. It's the happy hour, but we do a political show here. Daniel Bice. Now, he is something of a TMZ kind of guy. I mean, political gossip, rumors, salacious details. I'm surprised he didn't break the Stormy Daniels story. But today, he's got a new one he's breaking. Firefighter leader Malin Mitchell would take a pay cut if elected governor.
Wow.
In other words, Mahlon Mitchell makes more money than the current governor. And why this is newsworthy, I'm not exactly sure. There are plenty of people more qualified and more highly compensated than the Wankinator.
Certainly. But isn't Mahlon working 2 jobs? What's he say? What's the breakdown from Bice?
He does work 2 jobs. To hear him tell it, Democratic gubernatorial candidate Mahlon Mitchell is a regular guy who splits his time between fighting fires and fighting for his fellow firefighters. But here's one big way he's not like your average Wisconsinite. Mitchell would have to take a pay cut if he were elected governor later this year. Records show Mitchell was paid a total of $200K in 2016 for his job as lieutenant in the Milwaukee Fire Department, including overtime, and his post as president of the Professional Firefighters of Wisconsin. By contrast, Gubernator Scotty Wanker earns $144,423 annually. That would be a 27% salary reduction for Mitchell. Told the figure, state Republican spokesman Alex Zimmerman accuses Mitchell of using his union as a slush fund to line his own pockets instead of advocating for firefighters in Wisconsin.
Wow, Alex, that's quite a statement. Could you back that up in any way?
Liz Smith, a Mitchell campaign aide, dismissed the criticism. Ms. Smith says, Scott Walker and the Republican Party of Wisconsin have always been anti-worker and anti-union. So it's no surprise that they'd resort to misleading statements and attacks against Mahlon and his work on behalf of the hardworking firefighters of the state.
Mitchell, who's 40, was named president of the State Firefighters Group in early 2011 in the wake of a scandal in which top union officials were filing fraudulent expense reports. He ran unsuccessfully for lieutenant governor in 2012 and is part of a packed field of Democrats hoping to challenge Walker in November. Since taking the union's helm, Mitchell has seen his pay jump from $54,500 in 2011 to $90,600 in 2016, plus another almost $7,000 in income, a 66% bump, according to Federal Department of Labor filings. His predecessor made about half of what Mitchell does. Along with that, Mitchell collected a salary of $88,631 from the city of Madison in 2016 as a full-time firefighter and took home another $13,819 in overtime and other compensation. That puts total income at $199,837. So the guy's working 2 jobs, and Governor Walker
plus overtime
on and
as a
course,
firefighter.
yes.
And he's not just a firefighter, he's a lieutenant firefighter. That's, kind of like the military. The higher the rank, the
And
more the
also
pay, I would suspect.
President of the Professional Firefighters of Wisconsin. Now, Governor Walker, by contrast, Crudy, when he was running for president, what was he working 15 minutes a day on Wisconsin items, spending 15 minutes a day governing? Governor Walker was.
Steve Wilding, Secretary-Treasurer of the state's firefighter union. Yeah, Walker was burning money like an MC Hammer entourage. Steve Wilding, Secretary-Treasurer of the State Firefighters Union, said the labor group's bylaws and constitution prevent individuals from enriching themselves at the expense of other members. First, Wilding said salaries and per diems for the union brass are voted on by the nearly 200 delegates at the group's annual convention.
No, it's
Now,
almost like Democratic.
Yeah. In 2011, Wilding said delegates ended a lucrative fringe benefit for officers and set up a compensation committee to determine how much they should be paying Mitchell and his deputies. The compensation committee did what compensation committees do. It came back a year later with recommendations to significantly increase the pay of officers and board members. Wilding said the labor organization also decided to increase the workload of those officials. Schuster of the Madison Fire Department said Mitchell was paid a salary of $91,305 last year, plus another $14,000 in overtime and other compensation for a total of $105,421. His labor group declined a request to release his union salary for 2017, something not yet available online. I'm not sure why this is a story other than to point out, apparently, Mahlon Mitchell more successful than deadbeat Scott Walker.
And certainly harder working. 844-967-2789. You can call us. You could be like Gene from Eau Claire. Hey, Gene, happy Monday. Thanks for calling. What do you got for us today?
Happy Monday to you guys. That is very interesting. You know, that guy risk life and limb to save lives and property. Not only the huge exposures to chemicals that a lot of the firefighters end up with some severe cancers and die as soon as they retire, so they ought to shut their big pie holes and quit picking on the guy and do something worthwhile. I mean, the guy's risking his life and he's working hard, but leave it up to the people with the R hole after their name. I wanted to just bring something up that you guys were talking about earlier regarding the votes of the Democratic Party.
Yes.
I watched live. I had all different news sources on, and I was watching the floor and the things that were being done. And I learned a lot because I learned that, they haven't taken any amendments from the Democrats or had any input on anything they've done from the Democrats at all.
Jeannie, for a point of clarity, are you saying that you watched Friday's cloture vote or you watched this afternoon's vote that apparently ended the governmental shutdown, or at least the Senate has voted to do so? I think the House still has to sign off one more time. But Jeannie, were you watching Friday or were you watching today?
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the whole time they were on the floor. In the meantime, I was watching the way it was reported. Then I was watching the way it was being reported by local TV stations. I was watching the blurbs that were being sent out and blaming the Democrats. And here, you know what? They closed it down on a goddamn weekend. Not that many people work on the weekend anyway for the federal government that I'm aware of. So, this was like really, and I thought, oh boy, this is going to get really, really bad. So it was interesting to watch because there were Republicans that want to get this immigration for these kids fixed.
I'm not clear that that's the case, Jeannie. I just think they want to stop being blamed for the fact.
Well, I think there's a couple.
There might be, but Jeannie, let's not forget, part of what was pointed out when Trump rescinded Obama's executive action is there was no legislative will to actually pass, be it comprehensive legislative reform for immigrants or for the DACA Dreamers. If Republicans wanted to solve this problem, Paul Ryan could bring the legislation to the floor any given day. 87% of the American people want this. I suspect that less, than half of the Republican House caucus wants this, and per the old, what do they call it, the Hassert rule, named after child molester Denny Hassert, the rule's still in place. If you don't have half of the majority, then you don't put the bill up for a vote. And Jeannie, my thought process is they don't really want to solve this problem because they have the majorities to do so at any time, and they would get cloture on the Senate side. You can believe Democrats would be bipartisan and supportive of this measure. So this is kabuki theater.
Oh, yeah.
And Schumer and the Democrats, they caved like accordions on this.
Hold on now here, just a minute here.
All right, Gene, let's hear you back. Come on.
Okay, because there's other issues, guys. Because hey, I was proud they all stuck together. Boy, I was rooting and calling them all, thanking them, and then calling the others and really giving it to them. So I'm probably going to be on a watch list. But anyway, I didn't realize that some of the pensions, like there's pensions in our state that aren't funded where people are going to be affected by it. I didn't realize the health clinics, how important they were for the kids that aren't being funded, but yet they want to do the CHIPS bill but not fund the clinics that see these patients. I mean, there was a lot of things that I have never heard about, that were brought out and how they have not worked on anything since they passed the tax bill. They have no desire. So a lot of this information was coming out really well, but it wasn't being covered yet by the weekend press.
But Jeannie, then why would I accept any promises of magic beans from Republicans that they were going to deal with disaster relief, that they're going to deal with the chips, that they're going to deal with DACA Dreamers? Why would I believe these Republicans? I don't believe a damn word they say. Jeannie, why would Chuck Schumer?
And you know what? I don't believe it either, but you know what it counts on? It counts on all of us. It counts on going to Ron Johnson's office and having rallies outside his office and going to other Republicans' offices, also calling them every day, bugging the heck out of him, saying, you're not going to put up with this, what are you doing, and calling him out. This is up to all of us, and not just those people that are there. And I understand everybody's feeling, because I was so proud of him, and I didn't want him to give in on this. But the more I saw was being lied about to the people in our state, I was concerned. I got to tell you, because
Jeannie,
we only got one resistance radio in the state of Wisconsin, and we need a lot of them, and we need them all over our country.
Jeannie, you can call us any given day. We'll come back. More Devil's Advocates. Here's what Tammy Baldwin said, though. Enough with the round after round of fighting. We have an opportunity in the Senate to do the right thing by the American people, so we need to get to work and do it, she said before she voted yes.
Thank you for calling the White House comment line.
You are all weirdos.
Hi, I'm Todd Stryker, President and CEO of Five Nines. Have you got your head in the clouds on how to manage IT for your enterprise? We can make your dreams a reality. With our enterprise cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting, we'll manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Consider Five Nines your personal enterprise IT solution. Enjoy technology. For more information, visit fivenines.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
I'm a retired school psychologist, and helping people was my thing. After my stroke, when Meals on Wheels started, I was on the other end of the stick, so to speak. My name is Julius Gaines, creative writer, poet, photographer.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
On the line, Miss Patty Flowers. She is Red Cross.
I'm the CEO for the state of Wisconsin.
Wow. Well, we couldn't have had a better person to represent the Red Cross.
Well, I think the number one thing that we've got to remember is that people are suffering, and this is the time of year when it's even worse during the holidays.
You are going to continue the same policy that you've had for decades when it comes to the east side. But these other zip codes, it's where you're changing the policy. Can you see where people may have a question about that?
We are going into the zip codes. We're just simply asking that people come to us and meet us.
Is this because Milwaukee is perceived to be unsafe? Milwaukee Central City.
We have long-standing agreements with taxi companies in the state.
The Earl Ingram Show, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m., Saturdays, noon to 3 on WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Come on, man.
Make a resolution, Milwaukee, to eat your fruits and vegetables. Go to the new Pete's Fruit Market on Martin Luther King and North Ave. Find the freshest fruit, always the perfect peach. Pete's Fruit Market is a brand new, modern, full-service grocery with an in-store butcher shop. Go see the manager, Vidal, for daily specials at the new Pete's Fruit Market on North Ave and MLK. Tell them that the Devil's Advocate sent you.
Only in the forest can you see this. And this. And this. But nothing beats the moment you see that.
Cool!
That's your child's eyes opening up to a world of possibilities.
I didn't know it could do that!
Because one trip to the forest can spark a world of difference.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go, like hiking, canoeing, fishing, or camping. Or create your own adventure with family and friends, and you might just see this. Your moment's out there. Find it at discovertheforest.org. That's discovertheforest.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Listen, as a hiring manager, I've got to tell you, the best job candidate isn't always the typical candidate. Sometimes they're a grad of life.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Sometimes the best candidates aren't the ones you're used to.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Say, man, you got a joint?
No, not on me, man.
It'd be a lot cooler if you did.
When they go low, we get high. Dom and Cruz are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back from the 420 break. Thank you so much for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, 1510 AM WRRD. You can join us on the phones 844-967-2789.
Dominic, the Senate, along with the votes of at least a handful of Democrats, have agreed to reopen the government. Again, a quick quote from Senator Tammy Baldwin. She and Ron Johnson, a yes vote. Enough with the round after round of fighting. We now have an opportunity in the Senate to do right by the American people, and so we need to get to work and do it. Baldwin vowed to work in a bipartisan way, funding community health centers, children's health care, and immigration policy. Senate Democrats went for the deal to provide short-term funding of the government until February 8, with Republican leaders promising to address the future of young undocumented immigrants known as Dreamers. Baldwin faced heavy criticism from Republicans for her initial vote Friday. As a Democrat in the state that President Donald Trump won in 2016, Baldwin has been a key GOP target, and State Senator Leah Vukmir, of course she's running for Senate, Dom, of Brookfield, and Delafield businessman Kevin Nicholson, former Dem, also running on the GOP side, they both criticized Baldwin's stance. Here's what Vukmir tweeted, that Baldwin recklessly voted to shut down the government and protect illegal immigrants instead of American children, and our military calling it an awful political stunt. Nicholson also tweeted that Baldwin chose illegal immigration over members of the military and children's health. So ironic, because the Republicans could pass military provisions. They could pass CHIP provisions. They could pass Dreamer provisions. They have the votes to do so at any time they want. So if they want to turn around and blame Tammy Baldwin, if anything, Tammy Baldwin should have held firm, not caved along with Schumer, because he's afraid it was the Schumer shutdown.
They're going to get blamed no matter what they do by their opponents in the Republican Party. Let's get to Ignacio. My friend, you got 1 minute. What do you got for us today?
Gentlemen, do you realize that President Trump is an abortionist? And I mean it in this way. 800,000 people who are actually going to school, studying here, working, got permission to work here because of the DACA thing. You want to kick out 100,000, almost 1 million taxpayers. That's as bad as an abortionist, because what an abortionist does, it kills a child before he grows up to become a taxpayer. And if you look at your deductions on your paycheck, and I'd like to speak to your Wisconsinites, look at your deductions. The biggest tax you pay is Social Security. And the reason you pay that high tax now, it used to be the lowest tax you paid with your deductions on your paycheck. It used to be the lowest. The reason you're paying the highest now is because we killed off over 55 million children.
Ignacio, you're inaccurate in that assessment. You pay FICA, SUDA, Social Security like 7.5%. The state income tax, unless you're a manufacturer or agribusiness, is like 7.5%. The federal taxes are higher. I don't know where your math comes from, my friend, but I got to disagree with you on this point. Come back with us, Tom and Tom. Teamsters Local 200, Bennett and Melanzi, our buddies, join us on Brady.
Thank you for calling the White House comment line.
Just when I think you couldn't possibly be any dumber, you go and do something like this. And totally redeem yourself!
I was on Zero Res Madison's Facebook page the other day, and they have almost 2,000 testimonials from local customers. Apparently, I'm not the only one stoked on how cool this company is. A green technology that actually works better and doesn't cost more, it's a no-brainer, I'm in. We are starting our own Devil's Advocates revolution to free your carpets from harsh chemicals and soaps. Call Zero Res today and ask for the Diamond Crude Special 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
He is Mark Thompson. He is the chair of the Wisconsin Elections Commission.
When the leader of the Senate acts like a king rather than an elected representative and won't even give a hard-working person a hearing before he asks for his head on a plate, that is being a bully. So this is not, this is just stating the facts. No fake news here.
The Devil's Advocates, weekday afternoons on 1510 AM, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. The Stephanie Miller Show is on twice daily, 6 to 9 p.m. and midnight to 3 a.m. You can stream The Stephanie Miller Show and all of our fine programming on newstalk1510am.com.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property, or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
My name is Adam Holmes, and I'm proud to be union.
Adam, you're Director of Training for Painters District Council 7. What do you do?
I'm making sure that we're investing in our members. We're providing the safest and best trained painters, glazers, drywall finishers, and trade show workers in the industry, and we also do that at no cost to the taxpayers.
Why hire unions?
Because it costs less to be safe. We keep the contractor on the right side of OSHA and help keep the workmen's comp rates affordable. Join us, Painters and Allied Trades, District Council 7.
Hi, I'm Crudy. I'm here with Bill Carroll, president of Teamsters Local 344. Bill, why are you union? Teamster strong.
Well, Crudy, our strength comes from our membership. The Teamsters are North America's strongest labor union with 1.4 million members.
Bill, what does the Teamsters do for the next generation?
The same thing that the Teamsters have done for the last 100 years. Assisting groups of workers in negotiating improvements in their wages, hours, and working conditions.
Where do people go if they want to know more about the Teamsters, more about joining the union?
There's 3 easy options. They can call Local 344 at 414-258-4545. They can contact us through our website. That's local344.org. Local, the number is 344.org. Or they can contact us through the Local 344 Facebook page.
Be union strong. Join Teamsters 344. Be like Crudy. Be like News Talk 1510 AM. Stand with the unions. Join the Teamsters. Local 344.org.
Good afternoon. It is 4:32 for 1510 AM WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. My name is Brian Kelly. Governor Walker has proposed using $200 million in state and federal money to lower health care premiums in Wisconsin. Until now, Walker has been a fierce opponent of the Affordable Care Act, but he's expected to announce a broad health care package in his State of the State address on Wednesday. Among the proposals, Walker wants the Trump administration to permanently authorize senior care, the prescription drug program the governor had previously sought to scale back. Assembly Minority Leader Gordon Hintz was critical of the governor, saying if he was sincere, Walker would take the Medicaid expansion, freeing up more than $200 million for the state next year. Tonight, snow likely about an inch of accumulation, lows in the upper 20s. Tomorrow, snowy and windy, less than an inch of additional accumulation, highs in the low 30s. And folks, it's sticking to 39 degrees here in Milwaukee, as well as Waukesha for 1510 AM. My name is Brian Kelly.
I don't know if you know the Devil's Advocates, but they are kind of a big deal.
To Major Tom. Ground control to Major Tom.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. We're in the midst of the happy hour. Lots of union-made beverages in this room right now. We welcome the two Toms, Tom Alonzi, Tom Bennett. They're both with Teamsters Local 200. Gentlemen, welcome back to the Devil's Advocates, Little Brady Street, palatial studios, we'd like to call them.
Oh, good afternoon. Glad to be here.
Hey, guys, thank you. Always fun.
Tom Bennett, saw you at the Women's March this Saturday. Tom, wanted to get your impression of what the ladies had going on out there.
Well, I have to take my hats off to those ladies. It was a well-coordinated effort, good turnout, perfect weather for the turnout. The best radio host in town were there. Best radio show were there.
Well done, Tom.
Yeah, absolutely. Lena Taylor, I thought, did a terrific job.
Yeah.
Awesome messaging. I mean, they were on task. They were focused. It was just, I was just overwhelmed just by being there.
Gentlemen, I've been encouraged. We've been getting a lot of union support around here, but it all started with the Teamsters 200. You, Tom, and Tom, you guys got on board as early as anyone. We're about to celebrate our first year in business, and I got to tell you, we probably wouldn't have made it without Teamsters 200. But guys, between the special election on Tuesday, the Patty Schachtner race, and you see this sort of political activism going on in the streets in Milwaukee on Saturday, gentlemen, this has got to feel like, you know, sort of a union year, a blue year, maybe a tsunami sort of year. What's your gut telling you right now, Tom Bennett?
Well, I think one of the things that we have to look at is the women's movement, the Me Too movement. They're taking it to the next level. A lot of resistance. Patty did a phenomenal job, you know, up in northern Wisconsin. The women across the country have taken seats in many states. Women are determined. They're going to get their messaging across, and they're going to get the job done. I am absolutely impressed with the change of culture, of not sitting back anymore and coming to the forefront and saying, this is our time. We're going to get something done. My hat's off to them.
Tom Alonzi, got to ask you, my friend, do you feel like it's the Teamsters time? Is it time for your union, Teamsters Local 200, to get involved? Is this also a Teamsters sort of year?
Well, I think so, Kurt. I'd like to see, let me back up and tell you, I hope that maybe the pendulum is swinging because we've been beat down with, Right to Work Act 10, prevailing wage, and just goes on and on and on and on. If I could, in response
that's either a pendulum or Brian's deflated balls swinging, one or the other.
I'd like to quickly take a shout out to the office staff, the women at USF Holland on 6161 South Street, 6th Street, Milwaukee, who are going to very quickly here be Teamsters and join in Local 200. So
nice.
Yeah, hang in there. Is it our year? I certainly hope so. We're gonna do everything we can to make it that it is.
Now, you talk about a new group of employees joining. What's that mean, Tom? Does that mean that shop just unionized, just joined the Teamsters?
Well, the drivers and the dock workers there are already Local 200 members, but the office staff is not. We have some other locations that the office staff is, so they have shown an interest, and they came forward, and we're going after them. So very quickly here, we believe they will be. Yes.
And Tom, that's something of a leap of faith for anyone that's not been in the union before. Are you guys seeing people come back to the unions? We know that this governor, we know Trump, we know that Republicans overall have undermined the union efforts. But guys, I got to think, we're all surrounded by working stiffs, Janes and Joes. They go out and work for a living. Why would they not want some collective bargaining? I mean, hell, when it's the boss against you, the little worker, the boss always wins. But when it's the boss against a plant of workers or a shop of workers, you know what? At least you got a fighting chance. Why wouldn't people come and want to be a part of the union effort, Tom Alonzi?
Crudy, I don't know. You have you have a collective bargaining agreement. You have a voice in the workplace. I mean, if you're not in the union, you're an at-will employee. I mean, there's no in between. You're either that or you're that. And at-will means you're exactly that. You are at your employer's will. They can terminate you for any reason or no reason at any time and replace
I hope Brian keeps that in mind.
Yeah.
He's an at-will employee in there.
Brian, I got a card in my wallet if you want to sign it.
I am a union employee as well, by the way.
Okay.
You're listening to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, 1510 AM WRRD. Tom Alonzi, Secretary, Treasurer, and Tom Bennett, President. Our pals over at the Teamsters Local 200. They join us in studio. Now, I saw an article recently that union membership was up 11%. If people want to get involved, if people want to find out how it works, if people are like the office workers at the last location and want to get some information and figure out how this works and what they can do to perhaps unionize, how would you direct them, Tom Bennett?
Well, first of all, healthcare If you got a problem with health care and you want to talk about health care, call Teamsters Local 200 at 414-771-6363. Ask for Tom Alonzi. We talk about unionism on the increase. That's because benefits are being attacked. People are looking to secure wages, they're looking to secure benefits, retirement security. In the last month, we've had a number of active retiree Teamsters in Washington and in Madison promoting retirement security. It's under attack. But healthcare, I think healthcare has been a driving force. Yeah. Tom just talked about the girls at Holland. They came in our facility, saw our healthcare, our health clinic, and they were just in shock. That's a big key, I think, right now is driving force is benefits. I need to figure out how to control my out-of-pocket expense, and healthcare is going up.
Absolutely. Tom Bennett, explain to me, is the insurance provided through the Teamsters pool? And you talk about health clinics. Do the Teamsters operate a health clinic? How does this work, sir? Absolutely.
Wisconsin Health Fund, which is a Taft-Hartley fund, health fund, is attached right to our building. It's a great facility. It's a clinic, full-service clinic attached to us. We offer that coverage through our collective bargaining process. We have other vendors, Team Care out of Illinois, other vendors at Taft-Hartley funds that we can offer also. But the Wisconsin Health Fund, attached to Teamsters Local 200, Tom and I are both trustees on there. We have a lot of pride in our healthcare system. We want to provide the best services. Where else can you go for an MRI for nothing? I think it's nothing right now. I think it's
nothing, yeah.
Nothing.
Gentlemen, I think unions, I also think pension plans. And I know that there are some pension plans that are in trouble out there. U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin was our guest not so long ago, a week ago, Wednesday, I believe. And Ms. Baldwin talked about standing with the pensions and as a government unit. And I wonder if there's going to be a political will to do so. But want to get your gentleman's opinion. Is Tammy Baldwin doing the right thing by the unions and their pension funds? And is Ron Johnson?
Well,
you take it, Tom Alonzi.
You're in particular talking about multi-employer pension funds, Crudy, and in particular, even more would be the Central States Pension Fund, which is highly underfunded and looking for relief. They're looking to get a loan to shore it up. There's hundreds and hundreds of multi-employer pension funds that are in trouble and in the red zone. That's what they call it, and stated to collapse within a few years. Just some of them in a few years. And Central States Pension Fund is by far the largest. So Tammy is absolutely doing the right thing. I mean, you're talking. There could be 10 million Americans affected by this across the country if you talk about all the families that are going to be touched by this. So, yeah.
And Tom Malonzi, in this case, what about those, we know Governor Scott Walker won, at least initially, on a divide and conquer platform. There's someone out there right now going, I don't get a pension. Why would the average working stiff care whether or not the unions get the pensions that they've been paying into, or at least taking deferred benefits or whatever the case may be all these years? Why should the working stiff care if you get a pension, Tom? You, Malonzi.
Well, I think you nailed some of that, Mike, is that some of the wages were deferred through collective bargaining to go towards retirement, and now that's at risk. As opposed to if you received all that money on a paycheck and decided to put it into savings yourself. I mean, you hope that the pension fund, the money that was contributed by your employer through collective bargaining, was safe. And we're finding out due to the stock market collapse and such, it just wasn't.
Well, Tom, Republicans will just recategorize it. They'll call it welfare, and then they'll take it away from you. Yeah. They don't notice that these so-called entitlements are what people have paid into for years and years. Gentlemen, stick around. We are the Devil's Advocates. That's Tom. Malonzi and Bennett, they are with Teamsters Local 200. We are the Devil's Advocates. Got to shut down this fine AM signal. The FM, it's coming soon at 101.7. But in the meantime, get used to streaming live at newstalk1510am.com. Devil's Advocates continue. But thank you, Christine Newman-Ortiz, John Nichols, Mary Arnold, Robert Craig. And you boys, you stick around, drink more Union beer, and we'll talk more after this short break.
White House comment line.
If you want me to take a dump in a box and mark it guaranteed, I will. I got spare time.
Good evening, everyone. Due to FCC regulations and that we are a daytime AM radio station, this now concludes our broadcast day. But you don't have to leave us. We do stream online 24/7 at newstalk1510am.com. That's newstalk1510am.com. Or check us out on the TuneIn app at WRRD 1510am. For those of you already streaming, we now continue regular programming, and please welcome your friends from the radio station. Say hi, everyone. News Talk 1510 AM, WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
Dominic, I can't believe it's been a year. A year that this radio station, WRD, has been on the air.
Crudy, it's time for a party. Join WRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, and all of our listeners on Thursday, February 1st at Regano's Roman Coin, 1004 East Brady Street. That's on the corner of Astor and Brady.
The party begins at 5 o'clock. Free beer for all our friends, at least while it lasts, so come join us. Thursday, February 1st, the party begins at 5.
Wisconsin's doing terribly. The roads are a disaster because they don't have any money to rebuild them. They're borrowing money like crazy. They projected a $1 billion surplus, and it turns out to be a deficit of $2.2 billion. The schools are a disaster. The hospitals and education is a disaster. And when I see Scott Walker with his little motorcycle and puts his helmet on, and he gets off and he makes a speech. But, he's always riding like, he gets off a bike like he's a big tough guy. Okay, or a little tough guy. Their lobbyists, their special interests, and their donors will start calling. They gave you $1 million to your campaign, and this one gave you $5 million, and this one, you have to do it. You know what he's going to say? Okay, I'll do it.
Mr. Trump, you're using the talking points of the Democrats, and as we all know, that failed facts.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
When you need an attorney, trust the voice of experience. The only choice, Lawton and Cates.
Another memorable case from our files at Lawton & Cates involved a 15-year-old girl who was left a quadriplegic from a van accident while employed by an out-of-state door-to-door magazine sales business. Our client was paid for her losses as well as pain and suffering. This case also raised awareness in Wisconsin to problems in the traveling sales industry, which has resulted in discouraging questionable sales companies from coming into Wisconsin. If your life is disrupted by an injury or other legal dispute, Lawton & Cates can help you achieve a successful result. Trust the voice of experience. Call the attorneys at Lawton & Cates, 282-6200, 282-6200.
When you need an attorney, trust the voice of experience. The only choice, Lawton and Cates.
Grass-fed, locally raised, 100% organic. Dom and Krutz are the devil's advocates.
We are back. Thank you
for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, 1510 AM, WRRD. Folks, if you missed any of this fine program, you can go online, go to the interwebs. You can download interviews and podcasts for free at DominincRoot.com.
Dominic, we got two fine Teamsters, friends of ours. They are Tom Alonzi and Tom Bennett with Teamsters Local 200. They brought the Teamster-made beer. That's always a good sign, gentlemen. That will win you hearts and minds in this studio. Gentlemen, thanks for coming down. We were kind of talking about some politics during the commercial breaks. We hardly ever go without speaking about politics. But I got to ask you, gentlemen, overall, what's your impression talking about the state of Wisconsin? Do you feel a change going on here? I mean, up until now, I don't think Scott Walker was bad enough to wake people up. You know, lots of people don't like Scott Walker. But when you multiply that, when you extrapolate the Trump factor in, I got to think people are woke as hell in the state of Wisconsin. Do you gentlemen feel the surge that I'm feeling right now?
If I may, I absolutely feel it. Let's go back to 2010 when there was a sting, right? There was a huge sting. And we kind of sat back and said, oh, well, we're going to get stung. It's going to hurt for a while. Well, the pain's never gone away. And now people are actually reacting, and people who weren't engaged in politics before are getting engaged. We're starting to see a momentum. Today's millennials, the Women's March, look at all the millennials that were in that crowd. They're active, they're engaged, and hopefully they stay focused and carry that messaging throughout to their families and to their friends and get people to the polls. That's the most important thing. We cannot be complacent anymore. We've got to get to the polls. We've got to exercise our value to partake in the election process and cast your vote. Hook up with your senators. Hook up with people who are running for office. Learn about them. Understand them. Talk to them. They're there to answer your question. Don't be bashful.
I know Dom likes to Netflix and chill with Ron Johnson whenever he gets the opportunity.
Tom Alonzi, what about you? Do you think that, you mentioned the millennials, and this is something I think, Teamsters been around a long time. Unions have been around a long time, but not in the course of history, not too long. But in the modern age, unions have been here. What do you see happening in the future? Do you think millennials are signing up? Do you think the millennials are aware and have the knowledge and appreciate what the unions have done and will be able to be the standard bearers?
Tom Alonzi, what are the unions? What are the Teamsters going to do for the next generation?
Yeah, absolutely.
The same thing we've done for the last generation. No,
cut some new ads.
I got to tell you, it's a tough nut to crack. I mean, I've been in the Teamsters for 40 years, so seeing some of the direction of the younger workforce out there, but we lean on our stewards who have been around to teach, because you don't know. I mean, most people now are in a home. Their dad's not in the union, their mom's not, their friends aren't, their uncles aren't. So we hope that it happens in the workplace, and we try to educate our union stewards to pass that information on, as well as the local itself has stepped up the education process of what it means to be in a union, because they're not teaching it in the schools.
Right. Do you get out there on the social medias, the Facebook, the websites? I mean, people want to find information. They can find out about Teamsters Local 200 on the interwebs?
Absolutely. We have all kinds of different venues to teach and mentor young kids coming to the workforce. One of the things I do is one of my sites that I represent, I take them to the front door and I show them the front door, and they're looking at the front door. And I said, for the first minute of every hour that you work, that employer is paying a benefit on your behalf. In this particular location, that benefit's $14 an hour. They don't see it on the check, but it's health and welfare and it's retirement security. Mm-hmm. And they go like, really? And, I only get paid like $16, $17 an hour to start out. I said, just add it together. What's your total package? And then they get it. Then they understand.
Tom, let me ask you, while I've got a daughter and she's a millennial, I got lots of friends that are aging in the workforce, and they're in their 50s now. And many of them, and I had a friend reach out via email earlier today and said, I got a big pay cut. I got knocked backwards during the last recession, and I'm lucky if I'm 2/3 of the way back. Gentlemen, do you think in part that the workers, the 50-somethings that used to be the highest paid workers, now we're seeing a reduction in wage. They're being pushed into low-paying jobs, $15 an hour jobs, if they're lucky, because they don't really have any assurances of collective bargaining.
Well, that's a whole lot, Curdy. So every place that we have members at where we represent them there, I'd say every one of them are looking for workers. So the labor force is very tight. So we keep, Tom and I go in each other's office, say, when's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? When are the wages going to start getting bumped up?
Yeah.
For these people that are in that area that you're talking about, and I think we're seeing it. It's just it's a slower process than all of us would like. Let me tell you.
Yeah, I agree with Tom. CDLs, people that have a CDL driver's license, they're in very high demand right now. That's like a golden ticket. Today's millennials come in the workplace. Our employers are willing to train them. Tom and I have worked with building trades here in Milwaukee, associated general contractors related to training. We're looking at resources to teach the next generation coming in the workplace. Again, what Tom says, they don't teach it in school, so now it's up to us to teach it for them.
I got a father-in-law and a stepfather-in-law, and they both came in the printing industry. And they both seen substantial pay cuts. One got out of the industry altogether. He's never recovered the wage he made in the late 1970s. And the other one, keeps making lateral moves. And it's either make a lateral move, literally move your family. I've seen him go from Michigan to Wisconsin to Minnesota to Wisconsin. He continues to move just to keep food on the table, keep his wife, and he's got grandkids and bills. We all got bills. But the point I guess I'm making, gentlemen, is we got lots of working stiffs in this country that really haven't taken steps forward. If anything, they're taking steps back, and they keep scratching their head and wondering when it's going to change. And I would say it's not going to change unless we see a rebirth in the union movement. Without the working stiffs, without the collective bargaining of the working stiffs, guys, you guys are vulnerable. You guys are under Republicans' boots unless you collectively bargain.
Yes, agreed. It's a fact. The unions made the middle class. It brought the workers into the middle class and allowed them to do things like buy additional things or send their kids to college or get a vacation home or a better car or whatever it is. Vacations, whatever it is the unions brought to the workers. It's on and on and on and on. And as that number goes down, that goes away. It's a hard road to bring it back.
Gentlemen, Tom Alonzi, Tom Bennett, President and Secretary Treasurer of the Teamsters Local 200. Again, we appreciate your fine sponsorship, your friendship, and your support. We support the Teamsters.
We support you guys.
And we know it. We appreciate it. Gentlemen, I want to thank all our fine guests, including Christine Newman-Ortiz, Executive Director, Voces de la Frontera, John Nichols from The Nation, Mary Arnold, Chair of the Columbia County Dems, Robert Craig, Executive Director, Citizen Action of Wisconsin. Thanks to all of you for listening. Can't wait to run that FM up the flagpole. It's coming soon. Can't wait till February 1st. We get a longer broadcast day. And, of course, don't forget, party beers on us. You just got to go to the Roman Coin February 1st. That's a Thursday. Party starts at 5. We'll keep reminding you. Hope to see you there.
Calling the White House comment line.
If it's possible, would you let me know, am I under investigation?
Hi, this is Brad Saug, owner of Zero Res Madison Carpet Cleaning. Zero Res is the best new technology in carpet cleaning. We have a patented process using empowered water, a high-tech process in which we force the water to act like soap. It doesn't want to stay in that state. It's jacked up and it's angry and it wants to hit the dirt and then it neutralizes. When we're done, all that's left in your carpet is just light moisture. In the end, you get the cleanest, greenest, healthiest carpet cleaning available. Call us at 848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it backward or forward, it's the right way to clean.
Music is a bridge between the material and the spiritual.